Welcome, everybody, back to Strange Brew Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tomcat, a.k.a. Tom Thompson, but you can also call me the Raptilian, and also have one of my co-hosts joining me.
Reverend Kaiju. How we all doing?
Is that your Mrs. Doubtfire or something?
It's something like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a thing I was trying out.
And my dad finally came back from getting eggnog 10 Christmases ago.
Yeah, I went out and almost never came back. I'm here. The bull is in.
But you're the bull. I'm the wolf.
It depends on the day.
You get all.
You guys are getting a contact from the Strange Brew Boys up here.
When I hear Dad, I just
You get excited.
Going to Dad.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
the dad jokes will just never stop now.
Yeah, we are back. We are back with Wolf and the Bull. This is pretty exciting. We had a grand old time last time talking about, Mandela effect and the breakdown of what our society really is about. But this one is a little more festive.
Hell yeah, it's great to see you guys again. Let's get grisly.
I have not heard that one, but I am adopting that. That is phenomenal. I love that.
I have like a fun Christmas beer. So that's fun.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
That's gotta have one of those.
Still in Oktoberfest.
Yeah, one of those Christmas packs.
A little nog for the episode and the time of year, of course.
Oh yeah, you have to be careful with those. Me and Billy learned that from one of the Christmas specials we did. It's like Billy's like, "How much can you drink of this?" And I was like, "Maybe have two, God. And that's it. Like, don't go too crazy."
It's cream-based booze. It's never a great idea to get completely sloshed on it.
Yeah. I mean, well, it kind of is a good idea to get completely sloshed on it. I would do it.
It sneaks up on you.
That shit's addictive.
Fair.
Yeah. There's an addictive property to eggnog, 100%.
So everyone here likes eggnog, right?
Oh yeah.
Lactose intolerant, so I never really fucked with it.
I think I'm lactose intolerant, but I drink it anyway. I have a buddy, and he's the same age as me, like going in his 30s, and he was like, I've just accepted that I'm going to feel like shit after anything I eat or drink, and I'm probably going to spend half the day in the washroom. It gets me away from my kid.
I'll suffer for cheese. That's about it. Everything else, like, I can substitute, but cheese, you don't get the same if you're using, like, I hate to say it, but the nut cheese or any of the other artificial cheese.
Who wants nut cheese? I don't want nut cheese.
I mean, that's just gnarly.
Well, it depends on what you're really talking about.
Got some nut cheese in my pants.
Dear Santa.
Apparently a delicacy.
Yeah, this is quite exciting. I was really excited for this. And it's funny for all the fans of Strange Brew that have been around for a while. You can probably recall. I don't know if Anton, you ever watched me and Billy's Christmas Crimes episode that quickly got taken off YouTube and put on the Patreon, and now it's forever gone because we got really drunk and did a very like drunken uncle rant about like society and stuff. Maybe
when
we shouldn't have said.
You ever gone on a drunken uncle rant?
Too many times
anything.
on this podcast. Too many times.
That's kind of where I hope when we go with this.
I mean, when
drunken rat that's perfect.
Well, yeah, when I become an uncle, I want to be able to show, all the nephews and nieces just this. I'll just point to stuff like this. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
really.
Look at Uncle Wolf over there. This is how he is every Christmas. Everything's going badly.
No, this is pretty crazy. So let's get
oh boy,
it's a pellet gun. Don't worry, everybody.
Well, you see me flinch?
There it is, dad joke number one.
So,
oh my God,
they're going to come fast and furious.
To bring in the Christmas holiday and the festivities, you could say, we're going to bring it in a little bloody. So we're going to start with some crimes, and then we're going to get into some murder. And that's always a fun time, especially around the holidays.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
why I chose the word grizzly earlier.
Yeah, that's, you know what? Okay, I have to admit something. I have had so much eggnog and whiskey that I thought you actually meant bears, which tells me that I have had a little bit
you're still
too
in
much
the
to
animal.
No, that's great, though.
No,
Yeah.
are you talking about gay bears?
Well, yeah, now, obviously.
Bears.
So I'm hiding behind this. I'm like, I shaved. I look like shit right now. I don't.
well, okay. Why did you shave? Do we have
Do you have a reason for that? Yeah.
I was just feeling it. I was just like, nah. And then,
I mean, it's not like it's getting warmer up there right now, right?
No, it is definitely not. It's definitely not. But I've had it all summer too, and it was just getting along to the point. I was like, I've forgotten what it looks like, and I was like, oh, that's right.
You'll
That's
never
what it looks
catch me without a beard, or I look like I'm 12 years old. So,
I'm surprised the bull actually has one. It's finally starting to cool down, so I guess you're doing it the right way. But when it's 150 degrees down here, it doesn't make any sense.
that sounds fun.
Yeah,
man.
well, when you have
not.
nothing up top anymore, you gotta grow it somewhere, right?
You're there.
Yeah.
And when you're my age, it's either that or it's coming out your ears or on your back or what the hell.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So then we're back to the bear thing again.
My other
grizzly
dad
bears.
accepted his baldness a long time ago, but he seems to want to keep the soul patch going for a little too long.
Oh, does he
So
really?
he's got one of these right down here.
Hey, I got to tell you, when I was a kid, my dad was starting to go bald. We had a pool. This was back in Michigan, and he'd dive in there in the summer, and his comb over would be so far down it would touch his shoulder on one side. And I swore to God, right there, if I start to go, it's just coming off.
Yeah,
So
just accept it.
Your dad kind of looks like Burt Reynolds, just a little bit. So
Burt Reynolds.
just a little bit like. Burt
I mean,
Reynolds,
that's a huge compliment in certain
It is.
eras and
Yeah.
around certain
Yeah,
groups
I
of
was gonna
people.
say,
I mean, Burt
you-
I
Reynolds
mean,
is
it
a
still
stud.
is. He's timeless. Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Is timeless.
Oh, agreed.
It's still a
Agreed.
compliment. He kind of looks like Burt
He didn't
Reynolds.
get
My dad
canceled
did
yet?
get rid of Burt Reynolds.
That's a good question.
It's like everyone gets
Did he get
canceled
canceled?
nowadays. All right, so let's
he
bring it in
still
with some
alive?
fun Christmas
I don't
crimes.
think he is.
Is he dead?
Yeah, I think he's dead. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I think
wow.
you only get post-mortem canceled if you're like, Confederate general or some shit.
There you go.
Oh yeah,
Actually, you don't even
yeah,
have to be Confederate anymore to get canceled.
he's dead.
Okay.
He's dead.
Yeah.
Rest in
Here, we're
peace,
gonna start
Birdie.
off
2
on a
years
rant.
ago? Was it 2020?
2018. Yeah.
2018.
Yeah, I read
So
the
he
full
wasn't part of the
synopsis.
big 2016 that fucked everything up then.
No.
I'm telling you, the moment we lost David Bowie, everything just started unmaking itself. That
Are you
was.
saying he was the center of the universe?
That could be.
I'm saying David Bowie was the glue that was holding
He
this
was-
reality
he was
together,
the
and I
key
think
to everything. Did
Yeah,
you do a movie? Like what was that movie? where-
Labyrinth.
Labyrinth, yeah, Man That Fell to
Yeah.
Earth, The Hunger. He's in a bunch of shit.
What was he addicted to, Anton, for a year?
Oh, the legend of him living on cocaine, milk, and peppers for a year.
For a year. He,
I don't think any human.
wait.
Well, I mean, he's not human. He's the star man. So I think he could live on that if he
Starman.
wanted to. I guess. But yeah. The
Like legitimately.
yeah.
Like
yeah,
he
no,
was-
legitimately,
yeah.
that's what they said, that he lived on hot peppers, milk, and cocaine for a year.
Is
that
that
was
crazy?
Part of his mystique.
it. Yeah.
How does one do that? His shits must have been terrible.
Yeah.
Or non-existent.
Or yeah.
Why in the hell does Wolf go there first?
That's
You know, his
I'm a
shits
dog.
must have
I'm a dog.
smelled terrible.
That's how we do things.
So
Butt first.
Gotta get to know him. Sniff butts.
Exactly.
some folks like to get in the holiday spirit a little bit too much. A woman in South Carolina stabbed a man on Christmas for coming home without. Can you guess what he didn't bring home?
Beer. Nope. Didn't bring home beer.
Beer. It definitely, it should have been eggnog, but she stabbed him because he didn't bring home beer.
That is kind of criminal, though.
Yeah.
You go out, you get a little.
Well, did he intend to go get beer, or was it just like, oh, honey, I'm coming home from work. I didn't bring my 12 pack that I bring every day.
It'd have been funnier if he just brought home the wrong beer, right?
Yeah.
He brought home the
Coors instead of Budweiser.
skunky generic stuff. Exactly.
For the last time, I don't drink Michelob. God damn it!
When officers confronted her, she tried to say he slipped and fell. But couldn't explain her bloody hands and clothes. She was charged with criminal domestic violence. Side note, somewhere in South Carolina, there could be a bloody ceramic squirrel sitting inside of an evidence bag. What a sight. Because she stabbed him. She broke like a ceramic squirrel and then
was gonna
stabbed
say,
him
what
with
the-
that shit.
You think he went back to her?
Speechless.
What are you? Drunk and still together? Like he's just like, baby, it's okay.
How'd you like that on your tombstone? Killed by a squirrel.
Yeah,
Not even a real one.
you could say things got a little nutty.
No. I'm the one with the dad jokes.
Yeah, this is true. You and I should get Billy on one of these, and Billy and you can fight each other because Billy every episode brings a dad joke at the beginning. That's his whole thing. Some of them are really offensive, but they keep the show going. So that's fucked.
What are you? Drunk?
Drunk enough to stab you with a squirrel. So this one's also fairly fucked. A man named the Santa Claus burglar was stuck in a chimney for 6 hours while trying to escape the scene. Seattle firefighters pulled the naked Yes, naked, for unclear reasons, man from the chimney after a neighbor reported seeing someone or hearing someone screaming for help.
Oh my God.
I'm stuck!
Was he naked when he went in there?
You should have asked.
No, he took his clothes off when he went down. When he went down, it's like, all right, now it's time to take your clothes off in the chimney.
So I was gonna say, like, how? I have so many questions. There's no way you have that much wingspan to get your shirt off.
No.
The man,
maybe. You can probably shimmy him, but like,
the man claimed his friend, who presumably was also on the roof with him, tossed his backpack into the chimney. And he was trying to retrieve it. Apparently, his clothes also burnt up somewhere in the mixed. He was charged with residential burglary and a 17-month jail sentence.
How would you tell other jail? What do you tell other jail members, prisoners? What do you tell them about, like, how'd you get in here? Oh, I climbed into a chimney on Christmas and was completely naked, and they burned up my backpack, and then they charged me with burglary, even though I didn't take anything. I feel like he would spend a lot of time in the public showers with some of the larger.
Yes,
I feel like he's either gonna look at him and be like, "I'm not dealing with this dude. This dude's nuts. Nope, just stay over there." Yeah, or he's gonna be passed around like currency.
I think it might have been the second one.
Yeah. And who knows what kind of drugs he's on? Because like it seems like meth makes you want to take off your clothes. I've never tried it, but it sounds fun.
Which part, the meth or the taking off your clothes?
I think a little bit of both. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Oh my God.
I knew this would be fun. All right, I got one more for before we get into the big. Actually, I have two more. Some of them are fairly fucked. So a man driving a float in Anderson Christmas parade had been charged with drunk driving after he passed another float, then sped down Main Street, police said. When officers caught up to the 42-year-old David Allen Rogers, he had an open container of alcohol in his truck, and he used to haul the children and the adults on the float of the Stepping Out of Dance studio. Anderson police spokeswoman Linda Doodley said witnesses said Rogers was driving in line in the Sunday's parade when he pulled out to a passing tractor into the float. So he kind of was just driving down the street and kind of just pulled into the parade. Rogers then he had kids on the float. And now he faces more than 36 charges, including a DUI, 18 counts of kidnapping, assaulting an officers. And authorities said a man who answered the phone at Rogers' home would not talk to a reporter, and a message was left at the dance studio, was not returned Monday. Rogers will have a bond hearing on his kidnap charges Tuesday, so whenever this article was produced. And he is 18 counts of kidnapping for
driving an uncertified float.
You know how I'm getting old, Bull? Is I hear that story and I don't get freaked out too much about like someone drinking and driving. I get freaked out about where they found this guy. Like what? Yeah. Did you use Monster? Did you use jobs.com? Like, how did you source this employee? What was his insurance?
What kind of float was it? It was a giant Bullwinkle or something?
I know, because it seems like he was in a truck, and then he was drinking and had a bunch of these kids from this dance studio on the float. Maybe he was supposed. What I get from it, maybe he was supposed to be part of the parade, got a little drunk, showed up late, and he kept the party going.
He said, "Screw it, I'm getting in this parade now."
That makes sense.
Part of the parade.
It's linear. It's a linear train of thought.
Yeah, because he pulled into it in front of a tractor that was already in the parade.
I don't know if anyone here knows, how does one become a part of a parade? Is it
I don't know. Anton loves parades.
Depends on the parade.
Yeah, how could you give us an in-depth
because Buffalo does tons of parades.
I mean, there's parades everywhere. But yeah, I do enjoy a parade. It's an excuse to go wander around and day drink, which is always fun.
Yes.
There wasn't any parades about a couple of weeks ago. There was like 50 feet of snow or something. You've been a one-person parade out there that day. I saw the.
So that was more like. So I'm in the city. We got maybe 4 feet in total, which for out here
is that all?
Not much. Yeah,
hey guys, we got 12.5 feet.
Thank God it missed Ontario.
So we got like 2 feet the first day, and then we had like 2 feet the next day, and it was like, the roads are plowed.
You're speaking to two dried up lizard men. We don't get snow out here.
Fair.
Well, here's the thing: is I lived in Minnesota for 10 years.
Minnesota.
Minnesota,
Minnesota,
Michigan. So we understand.
Yeah, you guys know that 2 feet ain't shit when you're in a snowy area.
Not. But then thinking about 4 feet, I think of that now, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, my life would be ruined.
You know, I have a picture of me somewhere standing next to the barn out back of our house, and you can't see anything but the top of the roof of the barn.
Would you sled off the barns?
We did.
Because I did that. I did the sled off top of the barns.
Screwiest shit you could ever possibly imagine.
Like what?
Because snow was supposed to be soft. It wasn't very soft, by the way.
Yeah, it's ice.
Usually
snow is ice in Michigan.
You tend to fall in and disappear. So, but hey.
Anton messaged me and he was like, "Hey, are you?" And he sounds sad. He's like, "Hey, you guys getting the snow?" And I took a video of my car, like we had no snow on the ground,
not even a flake on the ground,
because he's so close. He's only an hour and a half away. So it's like,
I was gonna say, how did you guys? I mean, did you guys know each other beforehand, or did you like meet on the Maid of the Mist or something?
Yeah, that's how it happened. Anton was a fan of the show.
But funny story about what we were going to do at one point in time, because it was during COVID and everything. We made a plan to both go over to the observation deck in the falls and look through the little coin thingies with signs and be like,
That's actually really, really cute, guys. That's really hard work.
A great TikTok.
I mean, I thought that would have been great. It never ended up coming to fruition, but yeah.
Well, theirs is like very wholesome. I mean, Bull and I met on adultfriendfinder.com.
Yeah.
So,
Tom doesn't like to tell people that we met on Farmers Fuck, so I mean, it's
oh man,
that's funny.
I can't believe those websites still exist. The Farmers Only, or like
it's
like monksonly.com.
Christian Mingle Farmers.
I went on J-Date and I told everyone I was a Satanist. So
Curlers Anonymous.
That's a way to thin the herd real quick.
Satanist Anonymous.
All right. In Australia, it's Christmas Day 2013, but instead of spending the day with loved ones, William Bill Stevenson pays the ultimate price for keeping poor company as his friends. Meth addicts Danielle Kerr and Darren Lewis killed in one of the most violent ways conceivable. So they killed him, this guy, fucking Bill Stevenson. William Bill must be his nickname.
Please tell me that this involves sharpened candy canes.
That would be awesome. That would be smart.
Icicles.
That would also be great.
Ornaments.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait because we're doing
him with a pound of gingerbread. Like, oh God.
for First Class Horror, we're doing a big Christmas horror movie episode. So I got a list of Christmas horror movies, and I hope there's some icicles sliding into somebody's fucking face. Something.
Oh, there are plenty. Yeah. Which one? I mean, Santa's sleigh alone, I'm pretty sure somebody gets stabbed with a fucking icicle, and that's Goldberg. So I mean,
so their motive is not entirely clear. The pair drove Stevenson out to the bushland and began beating him over the head with a large rock. Then Danielle stabbed the man to death while cackling about their Kill Bill plans. So funny. We're gonna kill Bill. That's
actually quite. It's fucked up, but that is quite funny. Actually,
if you don't have enough money for
quite terrible
this year, you just eliminate the people you're going to give gifts to one at a time with a rock.
I like that plan.
Safest way to save money. Yeah.
This sounds like some tweaker shit to me.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna kill Bill.
Kill Bill was the Kill
all
Bill
you've been
storyline.
watching for the last 48 hours is Kill Bill on repeat. Yeah, no wonder you're going nuts.
The couple then set the car alight and casually walked home. Thankfully, they'd both be arrested and charged, and yes, they were convicted soon afterwards. And it's just like, and it doesn't really, like, I try to look into it a little bit, like, it doesn't really say what they're trying to gain. Like, who knows, maybe they just wanted this guy's, like, $20, and they're like, this is a good plan.
You know, I think the question I have for drug-induced murders is, like, I would love to know the immediate reaction. Like, when they get arrested, they're coming down, and then they wake up in jail. Like, where the
Yeah, I know.
Fuck am I? Some dude sitting across. He's like, yeah, we just murdered someone. Like, what do you do at that point? You cry? Do you shit your pants?
Probably
No.
a little column A, little column B, right?
Just shit your pants first, then cry, and then shit again. Like, I mean, that's incredibly terrible.
Where am I going? What prison am I going to? Do they have meth there? Yeah, if they have meth there, I'll be happy.
It's the only meth funded prison in all of Australia.
This is already lots of fun. Who wants to start with the first Christmas cold crimes, you could say? Cold cases.
Well, I've got a terribly fucked up one.
Okay.
And
which is perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to try my best not to laugh because the main guy's name is very funny. So,
if it's John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, I swear to God, it's a go right now.
Close second, but it is kind of Christmassy in my opinion. So I'm going to talk about the 1992 Christmas killings of Dayton, Ohio, and one of the main, I guess, protagonists in this instance, if we're taking his position, but antagonists because he's killing innocent people. His name was Marvellous Keene. I don't know if that was just a nickname. I don't know if he was named that by his parents. I don't know if he was adopted, but that was his name. I can say that about him because Marvellous is no longer around. Thank God. So for our listeners,
can I guess that he's black? Because that sounds like
yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, it's a good-ish guess.
Is there something wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with that. I've seen a lot of Chelsea didn't want me to, my fiance didn't want me to buy it, but I saw a lovely Black Santa statue because they're trying to be super inclusive now, and I kind of want it. And she's like, "Why do you need that? We're white." And I was
We've already discussed it.
I was like, "Why not?"
It's Santa.
Do you guys know about Black Pete? Do you guys know about Black Pete? I wanted to mention on the Krampus episode that we're going to do for the Christmas special.
No.
Is that another Krampus kind of thing?
No.
Yeah,
Look up Black Pete sometime. It's fucked. It's people in
Black Pete. Is that something you plant in?
Anton, you know.
All right.
He's like, all
I'm
right.
thinking. I'm drawing a blank
say
right
that
now.
out loud. I know. Okay.
Everyone,
is
we're
that it?
in where is it? In Sweden or whatever. It's in they all wear
Dutch.
Dutch. Yeah, the Dutch. They all wear blackface.
Interesting.
For
Santa
Christmas.
Claus has a helper, and his name is Zwarte Piet. Or
Swats Piet.
Oh, Svartsva.
Whatever it is called.
Svatsva?
Touching up on my Dutch.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Sounded French first.
Sorry, I got excited.
Essentially, it's like a Dutch holiday, and it's about Black Pete was Santa's helper, and he had a lot of soot on his face, and the whole country dresses up like Justin Trudeau in blackface. But most of them.
Justin.
Wasn't he on a show recently for
He's like a Christmas cram.
Wasn't he on a
He was on Drag Queens.
Drag Queens. He was on
I couldn't believe he
Justin
did that
Trudeau.
shit.
What?
Yeah, he jumped out and he's like, "Hey everybody." And they were like, "Oh my God." Like it was very strange.
God,
He sent me the clip, and I'm like, all right, I'm not pissed at any of the queens that are there because they were all just broke ass drag queens trying to fucking get famous. I'm not necessarily pissed at Rue, but I'm kind of maybe a little like, what was that? But the producers somewhere are just getting handed boatloads of cash to have that piece of shit on, and it's like,
oh yeah, he's destroyed my country. So
it's like having Joe Biden come on Monday Night Football and be a guest
sniff all the
announcer.
children.
You know,
It's like,
why?
Imagine his color commentary.
We got Tom Brady's going back with Giselle. He's throwing a 50-yard bomb to the Los Angeles Kings and the Los Angeles. Where am I again?
Yeah, it's literally like his everyday life.
Literally what he would do. I just don't know why. On a side note, I just don't know why politicians feel the need to do that.
I don't know why they feel the need to call out
them.
fucking China
Contest.
and shit like that. Trudeau just called this to say this. Trudeau called out China for they're allowed to the protest. You know, we want to stand up for people's human rights and you know we should have people that are able to speak their opinions. Not when it comes to Canadian politics and us fucking trying to shut his shit down.
That's all fine and dandy when it's somebody else's backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, hey, look, in Trudeau's defense, okay,
There is no defense
the
for
United
Trudeau.
States government kind of advised you guys.
Yeah, isn't that crazy that came out?
So, I mean, I guess
sorta.
like, you know, we're double dipping, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, when has America ever?
Counts we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and we've discussed it, but I'm still pissed about it.
It's just sad. Yeah.
When has America ever stuck its nose where it didn't belong? Like, that's not a thing the American government
It's why
goes
they're
around
military
doing.
Revolutionary War. That baby was probably the least sticking our noses in everyone's hair as Biden does.
All right, back to Marvellous.
Yes, Marvellous Keene. So, for our listeners and our viewers, all this information, and the Bull and I are like, I like doing this just so you guys, if you want to read up on it. For this particular case, all this information is taken from DaytonDailyNews.com, who.com, not WHO.
That's good. You cite your sources. I do not.
Well, that's okay. We'll not a big deal. WHIO, TV7, and journalnews.com. So if you want to read them a little bit more about this, there's some really good synopses. Schnapsies. That you could read. Schnapps does sound really good.
Schnapps and cocoa.
So this story, my dear Bull, that I met on Adult Friend Finder,
Yes, Wolf.
it happened over 25 years ago. From December 24th to December 26th, 1992, in which 6 people were killed and 2 additional people were injured in one of the bloodiest killing sprees in Dayton, Ohio's history. I don't want to insult the people of Ohio, but that's probably the only one, because it's very boring there. With that being said, due to the violence of these killings, they became known as the Christmas killings, and it's also a very marketable name.
Ohio is for lovers, though.
Oh, well, don't you dare. I'm going to start putting on my eyeliner and start singing. Don't do that. I freaking love Hawthorne Heights, man.
I used to look exactly like the lead singer when I was 12 and 13 years old. Exactly. People used to tell me all the time. It was fucking weird.
I don't know. This old guy doesn't know who the hell you're talking about.
Well, he looks like Bret Michaels. You give him enough eyeliner, he looks exactly like Bret Michaels, who also lives in our area. So maybe you're the same person. But anyway, in most cities during December, most of us can obviously corroborate this, there's normally plenty of holiday cheer, decorations, and holiday-related activities. This happened to be the case in Dayton, Ohio as well, despite what some may believe about Ohio and how there is nothing to do, as I said a second ago. At that time, Dayton held a Christmas tree lighting on a courthouse square, and they even reopened the Dayton Arcade with pop-up shops and little restaurants and like little holiday areas for kids to go. Very cute and Ohio-ish.
Just like Cedar Point.
Yeah, it's great. It's so great. House for lovers. A group of teenagers comprised of Laura Taylor, who was 16, Marvellous Keene, who was 19, Heather Matthews, who was 20, and DeMarcus Smith, who was 17 at the time. They were all looking for trouble, despite their terribly original, self-titled gang name, the Downtown Posse. They spent most of their days bumming money on Courthouse Square, so they had nothing to do. They were basically bored. Estranged from their families and without not much else to do in Dayton, because, again, boring, they began the worst crime spree in the history of Dayton on Christmas Eve. This spree began with petty robberies that gained the crew a plaid coat, a pair of sneakers, and $44, and they eventually evolved into something else entirely, joy killings. The following is a timeline of their joy-killing crime spree. In the early hours of Thursday, December 24th, Heather Matthews and Laura Taylor made their way into Joseph Wilkerson's Prescott Avenue home after promising him sex. Laura Taylor and her boyfriend, Marvellous Keene, called Wilkerson and promised him an orgy. It's just that easy these days. In the 90s, it was that easy.
Yes, it was.
Just people calling in. It was great. Phones ringing all the time. The couple recruited Heather Nicole Matthews, who had been released from prison a few months prior. Upon arriving and being invited into the home, Wilkerson was then bound to the headboard, gagged, and then tied up with electrical cords while the trio searched the house for valuables, and they found a .32 caliber Derringer. Keene used the Derringer to shoot 34-year-old Wilkerson in the chest per police records. Matthews later testified at her trial in 1993 that Taylor put a .25 caliber weapon to Wilkerson's head and shot him a second time. The Downtown Posse proceeded to party in his house over the next 3 days, eating his food and driving his cars while he lay dead and decomposing.
Wow, sounds like the guy we just interviewed.
Yikes.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot of fun, especially partying with someone dead in the house.
We interviewed a guy live from a Panama prison, and pretty fucking crazy, and he killed a family and just moved in. It was like, my house now.
That guy from North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
So fucked up, man.
Yeah, that's disturbing. And this is disturbing to say the least. There's more killings, but I just don't know how someone does that. How they just
Yeah, you think you'd remove the body at least. Like,
I think if you take the step to go ahead and go down this path, okay, they ripped off did some petty thefts, and apparently that wasn't good enough. They didn't like their reward, so let's go kill some people.
Yeah, I don't know what reward you get there unless you're like,
the items is all I'm saying.
Yes.
They're like, okay, this is no fun. Let's go kill somebody.
Yikes. Well,
was their original intention to set out to kill him, or were they just going to try and rob him? Like, and then it just went south.
Robbery. Yeah. Okay. The original intention was robbery. So here's the thing: and you'll see through the progression of this timeline that there was like an intent to just kind of cause havoc, and then eventually they were just like, "Well, we killed one person.
Exactly.
We should just
that's
continue
where it
going about
it."
Like,
that's exactly what it was. And earlier we were talking about the guy up in Canada that used the rock or whatever it was and went to prison. People either do stuff for drugged up or psychological reasons or crimes of passion. That's about it.
Yeah.
Unless it's a contract.
This one, here's the thing. This one is no
stupidity.
No motive.
But they went overboard, right? They probably went to rip this person off, killed him for some reason. When, oh shit, I better shoot him about 12 more times.
Yeah.
And since we're here now, let's stay
just
here.
Keep killing more people.
We're already in trouble.
Yeah, so the killing continued, and that exact same night, December 24th of 1992, my birth year, 18-year-old Danita Gillette was shot numerous times while standing at a payphone at 517 Neal Avenue. While they were utilizing Wilkerson's vehicle to hunt for more victims, they picked up DeMarcus Smith, Heather's 17-year-old boyfriend, who found 18-year-old Gillette talking on the payphone. Now I'm going to flip pages, so pardon me. At the time, Danita was a senior at Patterson Cooperative High School and the mother of a 2-year-old. She was a complete stranger to the group, and one account later stated that she was shot for her Fila tennis shoes, according to her sister, whom she was on the phone with, and her last words were, "Don't shoot me." Police later found her body on the ground outside of the telephone booth, shot 5 times. She was pronounced dead at the hospital. The pavement was covered in her blood, and 25 caliber Blazer ammunition, aluminum bullet casings were everywhere. The group had taken Gillette's coat, shoes, and a backpack, which contained 50 cents. On that same evening, the group had one more victim before they returned back to Wilkerson's home, Heather Matthews' ex-boyfriend, Jeffrey Wright. On Thursday, December 24th, Jeffrey Wright was shot 4 times outside of 157 Yuma Place. DeMarcus Smith put 4 bullets into Wright's legs, according to the police, but he escaped to a neighbor's house and survived. So in one day, 2 people killed and 1 attempted. Not sure why you would target someone's legs. Not a lot of mass there. But I guess he was a sharpshooter that just got confused. So terrible, terrible situation. When it came to Danita, I mean, obviously rest in peace, but absolutely shit show of just random murders.
Yeah, and it's crazy when people do not really have much of a motive, where it's just like, and that's a psychological thing, as the bull said, kind of like where you're just unhinged. Your mind does not work properly. And the fact that people essentially, I think, like disconnect themselves from the things that they're doing, it always boggles my mind. So coming from someone who's, I'm pretty empathetic, other than for my own prime minister and the way that my country's going.
Fuck that guy.
I empathize with people, so I understand what it's kind of crazy that they're just like, yep, well, we started down this fucking dark railroad, this dark sleigh down this fucking slope, and we're gonna ride it the rest of the way down.
Well, think of how many serial killers get started with an accidental.
Dahmer
murder.
did it, yeah. It's just like, well,
Gacy did it.
Yeah, Gacy.
Yeah, did you guys hear about, on a side note, did you guys hear about that? I was talking to Beowulf about this. Apparently there is a serial killer, I think it's up in Idaho, that is taking the same path, supposedly, according to the media. And the reason I put quotes around them because I think they're clowns. Sure according to the media, the same path as what's his name, Ted Bundy. He's taking the same exact path.
He's taking the actual geographic route as you're today.
Supposedly.
There's always copycats, man.
Yeah.
That seems like a terrible plan, though, because if you're
all of a sudden he's going to show up in
that
Florida,
route exactly, you're being predictable. Yeah,
exactly.
Show up in Florida.
People want to get caught.
Well, here's the thing. So, and this is now, I'm not sure. I don't necessarily believe that. That's what the media is talking about. You guys should look this up in an episode. It would probably be interesting once it's wrapped up. But with that being said, I was talking with Beowulf, and she said that apparently this guy had snuck into a house of 6 with a K-bar knife, a military grade knife, snuck in, and there was a 6'2" man there. There was, and then there was 5 college co-ed girls, and he stabbed the 6'2" guy and the 3 girls, and then 2 girls who were sleeping in the bottom part of the house. He apparently missed that room, and they lived.
Just
and this
like
happened
Bundy.
when we were on vacation. this happened then. And apparently they're saying that this guy is, according to their analysis, either ex-military.
Nobody knows where you were at.
Yeah, I know. Well, it wasn't me. I'm not 6'2", 6'1.5", okay, or 6'2.5", depending on who you ask. But he apparently might be ex-military, and
he went into full rampage mode, like Bundy.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they assume that he has some sort of combat experience because he just took down the 6'2" guy like it was nobody's business.
That's entirely plausible. I mean, a lot of serial killers do have ex-military history, but most of them never see combat. Like,
no. So many went to the army.
Why am I drawing a blank? Berkowitz.
Yeah.
Not Ramirez. Ramirez's cousin was in Vietnam.
Told him, he's like, "Hey, here's my wife."
We showed him a bunch of the images, and he showed him how to do pretty much everything.
And he saw, Richard Ramirez saw him shoot his own fucking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
He's a real piece of shit. I'm glad that he was taken down the way he was.
That's Billy's hero. Okay,
do not. Oh yeah, no, that's great. He got the community beat down.
100%. That's the best way to deal with it. But yeah, no, that's definitely an interesting event. I think it's odd. Well, I actually think it's kind of. I don't want to say poetic. That's the worst word to use. But normally during social times of unrest, this shit seems to pop up. So maybe we are in the 70s again, quote unquote. Maybe.
High gas crisis, inflation.
President who doesn't know where he is at any given time. I mean, like, wasn't Jimmy Carter the guy then too? And everyone hated him then, and now they talk about him.
Jimmy Carter saw aliens, though. He got abducted.
Oh. Well,
Jimmy Carter got stoned on the roof of the White House with Willie Nelson. That's good enough for me.
That's pretty good. But yeah, no, maybe we're back there. So who knows?
It's crazy.
But I thought that was
this is such a fun episode because it's so crazy how often around this time, right? People are getting desperate, and I'm a believer in quotations conspiracies, but I think this stuff like
you don't say
the people that are in power in the Great Reset. I was like, eventually, in the stuff that's going on, and even in my country, everything's getting more and more expensive. People can't afford shit. You're going to lead people to where they're desperate. And then when they get desperate is when all hell will break loose. And the government won't matter at that point. If you have enough people that are desperate to eat and have a home and feed their family, that's when it's going to get hairy.
Yeah, but you believe that they have this whole plan to set all this stuff up. Do you think they're going to let it go that far? Every person who's ever been
they can't control what they've started. They can't control it.
No, they can't. Trudeau's of the world can't do it. I will say though, I mean, America is in a unique position where we have a lot of guns. So I don't know what the
they're trying
outcome will be.
So throughout history, people have wanted to control the populace one way or another, through education, through religion, through all kinds of things. You name it. They've done it. Yeah. And up to this point, nothing has really worked for
no, because eventually it'll break. Because they're trying to, essentially they're passing a bill to ban handguns. And I have tons of buddies that have tons of guns. And people are always surprised about that with Canada. It's like, no, a lot of people have guns, way more than you fucking think they do.
Well, you guys have to. You've got rabid polar bears and penguins up there. I mean, they band together and create a polar penguin hybrid. Polar, what do a penguin sound make? Polar bear's shoulders.
No, if it's Christmas, what is that? What's the name of that monster?
Krampus.
No. From Rudolph. What's the name of the?
The abominable snowman.
There you go. Thank you very much.
I love that movie.
That thing scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah, my brother hated that fucking thing too.
Oh
That's so funny.
Such a good movie though.
Rudolph sailing away on a little iceberg off to that freaking whatever.
Well, they made a Winnie the Pooh horror movie next to Bambi, I guess, and then they're gonna do maybe.
Is that already out?
No, it's coming.
The Winnie the Pooh.
It's coming, but.
Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
Yeah, they're the same people are doing a Bambi horror movie.
I mean, anybody that's ever watched the Humpalumps and Woozles would be scared to
death. The Humpalumps?
Whatever the hell they are. Humpalumps. Isn't that a
good old Humpalumps?
Isn't that a song by Cardi B?
Probably.
Okay.
No, that's my humps, my lovely lady.
Yeah, there you go.
Black Eyed Peas. Yeah.
What? No, is that even Black Eyed Peas?
Yeah, it is.
Humps?
Yeah. All right.
Brush up on my Black Eyed Peas lore.
Time now.
Sorry.
Anton. I guess we'll say Anton's up.
There's a few more though, because we're only in December 24th.
Oh,
so
fuck!
25th,
they're just murdering everybody.
Sorry, it's okay. So I'll wrap this up real fast. So December 25th. Next victim was Richmond Maddox, who was 19, who was shot once in the head while driving his car on Benton Avenue. 16-year-old Laura Taylor coaxed her boyfriend Richmond Maddox from his parents' home, and the two of them left in Maddox's car with Keene, Smith, and Matthews following. Maddox apparently spotted the car following them and gunned the accelerator. Taylor then chose to put the Derringer to his right temple and fired the gun, which before the car crashed, she bailed out. And Maddox was declared dead from the gunshot wound to the head. Now, on Christmas of 1992, Sarah Abraham, that same exact day, mother of 3, received a hand-drawn picture from her daughter for Christmas. The following day, Saturday, December 26th, Sarah Abraham was the 4th victim of the downtown posse. Abraham was behind the counter of the Short Stop Mini Market, the family-owned grocery store on West 5th Street, when Laura Taylor walked into the place. A few minutes later, Smith and Keene entered. Keene shot Abraham twice in the head, and she died 5 days later in the hospital. A witness, customer Jonas Pettis, who was also in the store at the time, was shot in the hand and in the stomach, but survived the attack. The gang got away with the aforementioned $44 at that time. Jesus. Now, after $44, it's totally worth it. Wow. After murdering Abraham, the group of 4 became suspicious of their 2 friends who were a part of the group but didn't engage in the violence. So they weren't there when they killed Wilkinson. They weren't there when Maddox died. They weren't there with Abraham. Later on the stand, Heather Matthews claimed that Wendy Cottrell, 16, and Marvin Washington, 18, could implicate them in previous deaths. They picked up Cottrell in Washington and went to purchase some alcohol. While driving, Keene said he had to urinate and pulled into a gravel yard on Richley Drive. Smith and Keene then ordered Cottrell and Washington out of the car, walked them over to a large pile of dirt, and executed them. Their bodies were not found until the killers were taken into custody on Sunday, December 27th of 1992.
So Marvellous was the main. It seems like Marvellous was running the show. He was
the main guy. Yeah,
so it seems like he got a liking for this.
Yeah, it's quite disturbing because he obviously, as you said, was the main guy, but he eventually later got convicted of all 5 murders. Or all five murders. Now, interestingly enough, Cottrell and Washington, they marked the 5th and 6th victims of the group's rampage, and they almost had a 7th victim, a woman who was airing up her tires at a Salem Avenue gas station, but she ran when her Dodge Shadow was stolen at gunpoint. Now, here's what gets interesting, because up until this point, there's no motive. Like, it's very hard to follow crimes that have no motive because it's like, well, where are they going to go? There's no real pattern. 3 days after the first killing on December 26th, Dayton Police Sergeant John Huber eyed a suspicious vehicle, the aforementioned Dodge Shadow, on Kumler Avenue. Smith, Keene, and Matthews and Taylor were all inside the car. Huber called in a plate check, and when the registration didn't come back Dodge Shadow, units closed in for an arrest. Police arrested Smith, Keene, Matthews, and Taylor and found several weapons in their car. According to Sergeant Huber, who eventually became the director of public safety for Sinclair Community College, he had learned that Taylor had ordered Keene to shoot him, but for some reason, he didn't. Huber claimed that there was no rhyme or reason, there was no pattern, and that it's sad that we couldn't have gotten to them sooner. Doyle Burke, a Dayton homicide detective who worked the case, said they were just killing people randomly for nothing.
That sounds like a homicide
Literally
detective.
for nothing. There was not even a motive in these cases. It was just for fun. And on July 21st, 2009, Marvellous Keene, who was convicted in 5 of the killings, was executed by lethal injection at the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility in Lucasville. He had no last words because he was a piece of shit.
Yes, sounds like it.
NC.
I'd say that's
NC.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a crazy case. I remember
Sad.
reading up on that. I'm sure me and Billy covered it when I was drunk as shit on that episode last year. But like that one, I remember like reading about it, and I was like, man, just it was for fun. It's like, all right.
It's really fucked up. I mean, it's unfortunate too, because that's like I get people are like against like the capitalistic like buy type shit, but it's like a happy time of year. People are normally in a good mood, and it's like just random people.
That guy spent 17, 18 years on death row before they offed him.
I think it should be immediate. I don't know about you guys, but I think it should be immediate. I'm tired of I know it sounds callous, but I'm tired about the humanitarian bullshit. It's like if you've done some terrible enough shit, you should just be,
I don't know, man. I'm not really pro state sanctioned murder.
Well, that too.
If even 1% of people on death row are innocent and they're killed, then it's barbaric and it should be abolished.
Yeah, because there's that
is
point.
fair.
Because obviously this is an African American, but that happens a lot in when it comes to death penalties and stuff like that. Is it's like, 20 years later they realize you got the wrong guy.
Yeah,
I think the toughest thing these days is
a hard line.
That they're coming back with all these cold cases and letting people out of jail because they discovered that something was tampered with, the DNA was done this way or that way, and there's it's not a large percentage, a very tiny percentage, but it's still a percentage, right?
They're
I guess
letting people out of jail and stuff too.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
And then you have like the cases of like Damien Eccles and the West Memphis 3 and shit, where they didn't even really get real, like they were never declared innocent. They were just basically told, "We'll let you go, but you still have to confess to this murder you obviously did not commit."
Which that was bullshit. Yeah.
Oh, it's complete
that's
bullshit. I mean, America's in desperate need of criminal justice reform. 100%. Yeah, it's
I guess my whole thing is like, I agree with you. There needs to be criminal justice reform. I think in instances like Ted Bundy or like Jeffrey Dahmer. You're just all shaking. Oh, sorry. I was shaking the table. Earthquake. I guess those instances where it's like irrefutable for the most part. I think I agree. Keeping that person alive is.
I think we should bring back hangings of government officials.
There would have with Dahmer. There would have been value in keeping him alive if you would have kept him under observation by doc.
Yeah, the fact that they let him in Gen Pop
forfeit your body at that point. I'm not saying like torturous physical tests and shit, but I'm saying like to better understand, to maybe either figure out how to prevent it in the future, or I'm not saying that person deserves to live. I'm just saying
no. Yeah,
like get some value for society out of whatever.
Anton,
because
there's a good argument for what you're talking about, because there's a psychological element to all these things we talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're of the belief that psychological problems are actually physical, chemical imbalance, all kinds of different things you could associate with having a psychological problem or dual personalities or whatnot, the idea is, okay, how do you assign fault?
Right? Yeah, we want to learn from this stuff.
Yeah. Do we learn from it? Do we have better?
We did an almost 4-hour episode on Dahmer, and we like dived into all these ideas of like, it's crazy because how do we deal with some of these people? Like, he should have been in an insane asylum because clearly he was insane, and they could have maybe understood the way he worked and why in society we have people like him. But they put him in General Pop, and then fucking homeboy fucking murdered him.
Dahmer's one of those people that I think there's a certain amount of empathy that can occur up until a murder occurs, like everything before they become a murderer. Like when they're still.
Here's the thing. Like let's make sure that like because this is the position where I like obviously I have firm positions on this because I do think there's a line where it's like when you're writing in a journal that you wanted to consume someone's souls. I mean, like
I do that every day.
I'm not saying that they're a good person.
No.
I'm saying is that like
I think it's just more like it's there's a line between, because I agree with you. There needs to be some level of ability for us to like learn from these individuals, like people like Edmund Kemper, for example. Who the fuck would do that to their mom? I mean, obviously his mom was a piece of shit, and so was her friend apparently, because she saw how his mom treated her and him, and she was okay with it. With that being said, it's like
he
that
did
takes
kill his grandparents too, so there's
that too. Yeah, so like it takes a very specific person, and then he turned himself in. It takes a very specific person to do that type of stuff, and I do think there's a level of learning, but it's like I think there also should be a line where it's like, okay, like there needs to be some. And here's the thing, I don't even know if that's the answer, because like the capital punishment thing, I'm not a huge fan of either, because it is inherently just as evil as someone who's
my mom has said 2 wrongs do not make a right.
But at the same time, keeping those people alive for sake of the victims is also kind of evil. So it's like,
agreed.
It's like a very hard line.
Yeah, it is a hard line.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that the unfortunate part, like, and here's the funny thing that you guys mentioned, like the study and being able to like catch people and study them. Ted Bundy would not have been convicted today. Bite mark doesn't count. Can't do that shit in today's court. It doesn't hold up. And here's the thing: is there's a lot of
probably would have been some DNA though that got him convicted. So there's different things that
sure.
So.
It's
just interesting. It's and I think it's interesting specifically back to my statement earlier that these things seem to happen when there's times of like civil unrest, like when there's a lot of civil unrest and people aren't happy, there always seems to be like an outburst of some sort of violence that is,
or are they controlled
a lot
by
of the serial killer
CIA?
That too, yeah. Seriously,
always got to slip in the conspiracy.
Tom, I'm right there with you, buddy.
If you're getting. I was going to say, if you're getting into that, why don't you go even further and talk about why the 33rd parallel intersects with most sites of capital punishment?
There's a lot of weird shit.
That's a very interesting question.
Anton?
That sounds awful Masonic to me.
Yes.
but
is this the
hide in plain sight, as they say?
Or is it the okay sign? What is it?
I don't fucking know. There's a million. You should
know. Your family's tied to Lincoln, aren't they? Or something
out loud
like that?
that I actually
wait.
know,
What?
okay?
Wait, no, seriously. What? Like, aren't you guys
Lincoln?
Yeah. So yeah.
He was gay.
Lincoln
Was gay. I'll always have that stance. No, we talked about this on the podcast.
I mean, there are definitely letters that he wrote with a gentleman
yeah,
companion, and
that was very common back then. By the way, sleeping with your associate from the law firm or whatever the hell he did.
So they woke up with boners together and be like, "Can I touch your boner?"
Another one,
and Alexander Hamilton, same way.
We're cuddling. And
it's like they turn.
That's a little different than cuddling.
Whoa.
Sleeping on your side, and then you're like, "What's that?" It's like that scene from fucking Brokeback Mountain. All right, Anton, you're up.
I love being the only gay Eskimo. It's wonderful. Oh, I should have grabbed whiskey for this. All right.
Me too.
Here, you want me to pour you one?
Yeah, I saw you at the Buffalo Creek. That's good shit.
Yeah, it is. It is hard to find. I got lucky. Very lucky.
Nice. Excellent. So here we have the Lawson family murders.
Yes, 1929.
Yes, indeed. Charles Davis Lawson was a tobacco farmer from Stokes County, North Carolina. All right,
perfect. No, keep doing it.
Excellent.
Do the entire fucking.
You want me to do the whole thing? I'll do the whole thing.
Please do it.
The Lawson family owned a farm on Brook Cove Road near Germantown. He lived there with his wife, Fanny, and their 7 children. Marie, 17, Arthur, 16, Kara, 12, Maybelle, 7, James, 4, Raymond, 2 years old, and Mary Lou, just 4 months of age. On Christmas Day in 1929, Mr. Lawson led his family to town to buy them new clothing and to have a family picture taken, which was quite strange considering that they were not a well-to-do family. Little did his family know that these would soon be their burial clothes, and the last photo and the only photo ever taken.
And we're showing the photo for the audio listeners. It is like kind of creepy. You can it's just crazy back then. Nobody smiled there because it took so long to take the fucking photo. One little girl's kind of a smirk.
In the right, yeah, she's kind of smirking a little bit, but maybe that's also a face of disgust.
These photos creep me out. Anything back in the day where it's just creepy.
So the daughter in the top left will be important later in the story, and that look on her face you'll understand. Not to give spoilers for you now, but shortly after arriving home, Mr. Lawson's 2 daughters, Carrie and Maybelle, decided to go to their aunt and uncle's house. The father lay waiting for them to pass by their tobacco barn. When they were with range, he shot them with a shotgun. Then, to make sure they were dead, he beat them, put the bodies in the barn.
So he shot them, and then he was like, "Okay, you're not dead yet. Let me fucking beat the shit out of you."
He was on and wait. He took aim. He fired true, and then he went and got the blackjack and done beat him down.
This Django Unchained shit is getting me. You're reminding me of Leonardo DiCaprio right now. Oh my God, that's funny. Not funny. That's terrible.
So he shot them and then fucking beat them. Are you dead yet? And he just starts fucking hammering on them. Fucking, what did you say he used to beat them?
To Django Unchained, yeah, hammer them in the head.
Did he use a blackjack?
It was a ball peen hammer. I believe it was a ball peen hammer.
Holy fuck, man.
I feel like this could be like a news segment. Like, you know what someone should do? Like a major news corporation should just have people literally talk in like old-timey voices. And that's how they do the news. Everything's in black and white. And stuff like this. It'd be so entertaining.
Wasn't it
I would agree.
Canada that came up with the nude news?
And back
to
you,
news?
Anton.
That
what are we
shit is
talk
fun.
about today?
Yeah.
I love the
it's
new
like
news, man.
Stock market down 300 points once again. I'm going to jump this here windy.
Just right in the middle of a murder case. Holy shit, that's terribly funny. Oh wow.
Carry on.
Yeah, then he returned to the family cabin where his wife Fanny was sitting on the porch. And well, he shot her too. His daughter Marie was inside and screamed when she heard the shot that killed her mother. Also inside were Mr. Lawson's sons James and Raymond. The 2 young boys ran to hide when they heard the gunshot. Charles shot Marie next and then found the 2 boys and shot them as well. Lastly, and the saddest part of all this bloodshed is when Mr. Lawson killed 4-month-old Mary Lou. It is believed that the baby was beaten to death.
Fucking Christ. He beat the baby too when he grabbed by its feet and then just fucking started throwing it at the wall and shit. Sorry.
Fuck, man.
Jesus Christ.
I have a dark mind.
Is that how you would do it?
Yeah, if I would have killed a baby by the feet, and then I would just swing it at a fucking door handle or something.
Blender.
It would work. I mean, but
they don't have blenders back then, man.
I mean, yeah.
Did he end up
crank blenders?
Did he end up killing himself?
Yeah, did he kill himself?
Yes.
I would too.
So why the hell did he go take a picture first? What was that about?
That's a good
I
question.
want a family photo, and then I'm going to kill everybody. Except, I think, didn't he leave somebody alive? One of the kids.
I do believe, yes. Yeah, he said he sent Arthur to the store because Arthur wanted some shotgun ammo. No, yes.
He wanted shotgun ammo.
I believe Arthur was going out hunting, or maybe Arthur sensed something was up and he wanted ammo, and the dad said no, but you know what? Go on into town and get some ammo. So it is thought that with that, they thought maybe he knew that it would be very difficult for him to carry out the crime while his son was there, because his son was like 6 foot.
And who knows, with some of these cases too, we might dive deeper down the road on a full case of these, because a lot of these are really famous, and we're kind of just touching upon them, but who knows, they might get drip fed down the road at Strange Brew, and we'll see what happens.
That's a shit situation. Imagine being
Look at those
Arthur.
coffins, though.
Yeah,
they got a picture of the coffins up there.
Yikes.
All the different sizes.
It's all men. Where's all the women at? All the guys are like...
They weren't allowed to go to funerals.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
God.
You know? What
Do you want to get shot too, Susie?
You want to end up in one of those coffins? Don't do what I say.
See?
Where was that again? The Lawson. Where did you say it was? The Lawson family?
Oh, hang on, let me go to the notes.
Remember the
Brook Cove Road near Germantown.
Germantown, PA.
Stokes County, North Carolina.
Oh, North
Oh,
Carolina.
I thought Germantown, PA. But 1929 is an awful famous year, right? Black Friday.
What are you talking about?
Stock market
when we
crash.
first
People
started.
People were throwing themselves out
It's
of
when
buildings,
we first
killing
started
families.
buying things at a really reduced price.
That's actually a good
Black Friday.
episode
You know
too.
what
The
day Black Friday
like,
was?
that's crazy.
Yeah,
Old trivia. Do you know what what date Black Friday came on?
Oh my God,
shit.
I am Canadian.
Friday the 13th. Right?
It was 13th, right? Yeah.
Yep.
No. October 29th.
29th. Yeah, that's what it was. 29th. Yeah.
You know why I know?
Because your birthday.
That's the Bull's birthday,
Yeah.
baby. Not 1929. Thank you very much.
It's 1929.
Yeah.
He's 100 and almost 100.
Quick math.
Those old ones like that, though, those old murders and stuff that have all the old pictures, those are the coolest ones to look at to me.
They're fucking
'Cause
crazy.
You just
man.
wonder what the hell.
You always want
The
you always
photos
want to
they
put
had
your
to sit for half an hour.
yeah. Well, you also want to put your feet in their shoes, so to speak. So you're like, we don't really necessarily know what it's like to exist in that time era and what it would be like for everyday people. So to see these photos and be like, man, I couldn't imagine, because everyone, even if they weren't, looks fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Well,
it's easy to jump to conclusions too, because everyone looks pissed.
Fanny there was sitting on the porch watching this shit happen. And the first thing that went to my mind before I remembered 1929 is, why didn't you call 911? Duh.
Yeah.
Stop being a millennial. What are you doing?
Exactly.
What are you doing? Yeah. Well, why didn't you set a smoke signal? Why didn't you send some mules into town for help?
It seemed like he just
Arthur-
fucking lost his mind. Like,
Look, Tom, what's that thing up on the top there?
It's a badass headstone.
Right above Charlie.
The Masonic.
what
right
the
there.
fuck? That is weird.
There, Charlie D.
Okay,
We're
wait a
looking at
second.
the gravestone for
Okay.
all the audio listeners, and there is a Masonic symbol.
So
right on top.
So Arthur had to basically be dragged.
Go back to that picture if you can.
So wait a second.
December 20. Okay, it was on Christmas.
So
Day.
was Arthur part of the Mason? Was he a Mason?
Charlie
Arthur was a kid. Charlie was
was a
yeah.
man.
Arthur was the kid that survived.
He became
He sacrificed his family for Satan.
So they basically went to the store, and or the people in the town grabbed Arthur and brought him to the house to see what had happened. They found the site, all the murders and everything that went down there. And then when they were going out looking, they're going to go basically search for Charles. They heard a single shotgun blast from the woods, and they found him. The grass was basically tapered down from where he'd been wandering in circles as well. And there were a lot of rumors in the town that he had impregnated his 17-year-old daughter.
Oh, that's fun.
Yikes.
That's a fun time.
Hence the reason for that glare at the camera.
Yikes.
Yeah, scary. They all look fairly
That's
scary.
an interesting segue.
That's
It is
crazy.
an interesting segue.
Yeah.
All right.
That's an
Does anyone have anything
interesting segue
slightly more lighter
into
than
the
that?
into
No.
no,
Well,
nothing
no.
goes lighter. It only goes darker. But the photos won't be in black and white anymore. At least they'll be in color.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yuck.
So that was an interesting segue that you said about the daughter, because what we have now for Christmas spirit time is if you watch The Grinch, would be a jubilation.
Oh my God! That is not the right. No, that is off. That is an out of bounds.
The last name
joke.
is the Wholavers.
The
Wholaver family.
Oh God!
That guy looks like if Booger from Revenge of the Nerds got developed a serious drinking problem and a coke habit.
That's true. So for the audio listeners, we are showing him in handcuffs, the perpetrator of this crime.
There is no Robster Craw in jail, okay?
That's right. That perpetrator in The Wonderful Color of Orange is Ernest Wholaver.
Saves Christmas? No, destroys Christmas. Ernest destroys Christmas.
Ernest does not save it.
No, he doesn't. Destroys it.
By the way, what?
Information, thescarechamber.com. This is where the information comes from.
Okay.
Sources.
Yeah,
Sources. We gotta
the
be
wolf
serious
wants to be very
Scarechamber.com.
I was going to get to that. No, I wasn't.
Wait a second. And murderpedia.org.
Murderpedia is great.
We use that for tons of stuff,
website.
even though we never share our sources.
Ernest commits a family annihilation.
Well, according to Murderpedia.
Before he committed the annihilation, like back in July of that same year, before he committed the murders on Christmas, he supposedly committed some sexual offenses, along with one to his 15-year-old daughter, one to his 20-year-old daughter, and one to his 15-year-old daughter. That's the accusation, at least.
Who's the guy from Third Rock from the Sun? And he always got his fucking eyes squinty.
Stewart.
That's what he looks like. This guy. It's like his fucking eyes are super squinty.
Third Rock from the Sun. That's, man, you're going back. You're going deep.
Face.
Now I want to see Fred Stewart play this guy in a Lifetime movie.
He could. Because look at his family. His family also has that look.
Hallmark Christmas movie.
Hallmark's cashing in on the true crime market now. They're like, we ain't letting those ID motherfuckers hog all the cash. We know what housewives want, and it's bloody murder.
This Sunday.
Do you love? Are you interested in steamy events?
Are you happy when the holidays are wonderful until they were
not? That's terrible. That's fucking terrible.
It was terrible, but it was funny shit.
It's funny.
Hey, don't worry. At Strange Brew, we're all, if you haven't seen in our fucking, our description, we say not for the easily offended. So
we mean it.
Thank God.
We mean it.
You know, I'm a little upset though, Wolf, because you gave this one.
Wait, you're offended?
I'm always offended.
Wait. No, I'm here.
You're
I'm
offensive.
sensing. Wait a second.
Offended.
I'm sensing some boomer revisionist history here. Wait a sec.
See,
I said
he can't go through a single podcast without calling out the boomers for some reason.
Wait. Dear Bull, in this email, here are the notes for tomorrow's episode. If you don't like any of the information, I will gladly switch with you. That's what I said.
And what have I always said on every single time?
Read emails.
I type with my elbows, okay?
Take off.
No, this dude owned a trucking company, and you gave it to me.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I did not know that.
Yes, you did.
I legit did not know that. I legit did not know he owned a trucking
Your generation, man, they hate us. I just don't understand.
You guys hate
such a
us.
lovable generation. Yeah, well, that's
just
true.
two.
That's what I
two ships sailing in opposite directions.
Anyway, this ended up screwed.
Yeah,
obviously,
it's fucked up.
Because I'll just read a little bit of this because I didn't memorize it, unlike you, Wolf.
I didn't memorize shit.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta tone up on these things a little.
Stop buttering me up, okay? Okay, Buster.
Anyways, he got divorced. His wife, kudos to her, said, "I believe my daughters, not the old fuck I married." So she's like, "Go elsewhere." And he moved to his brother and his mom's house, hung out for a while, and when December came around, feeling the family vibe, not being around the family vibe, he goes, "Hey, you know what, bro, Scotty? It's 2:00 in the morning. I think we should drive a couple hours." Because I miss my dog. I need to go pick up my dog for Christmas over at my ex-wife's house. Let's go. And Scotty, who says he didn't know shit,
right,
took him on a 2-hour drive. They got there at 4:00 in the morning. He says, "Hey, park down the road. I got to get something out of the trunk. I'll be right back." And thus he goes into the house. Let me just read this. Let me see. While his brother waited in the vehicle a block away, Wholaver, not singing Wahoo Dores at this time, approached the house, cut the telephone and other wires leading to it, forcibly entered the house of his strange wife and children, crept into the bedroom where Jean was asleep, pulling out his .22 caliber pistol and shot her in the head. Just, hey, 4 o'clock, poof, you're done. They left the room, creeping into Elizabeth. And Victoria, by the way, was... Oh, no, Madison is this little baby. We'll get to that in a
Victoria was 20. Madison was her daughter.
Victoria was 20, had a daughter. There's some question as to who that daughter was, and we can get into that in a little bit if you want. But in any event, when they found these victims later, the baby survived, by the way.
9 months old.
It was 9 months old and was in the arms of dead Victoria.
We're already doing better than last story. The baby lived.
The baby lived.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact, I read up on this a little bit. The baby is a teenager now and doing real well at her father's house.
Can we ask a serious question?
No.
Do you say anything?
You were the daughter of a serial killer.
At what age do you tell her?
Well,
Because you can't. I feel like
doesn't she figure it out?
Well, here's the thing. I would say maybe eventually, but it's not like people are like,
no, right away.
Murders.
Every
Like,
Christmas, you tell them the story. Every Christmas, you sit them down.
Oh my God! We're gonna tell you the tale of Santa Claus.
Jesus, I mean Ernest Wholaver,
your biological father.
That's terrible.
And
this is how you came to live with us.
They watch Ernest Saves Christmas and be like,
You know what I think
your
of?
father did
I
something
think of the-
completely different.
I think of the Grinch with Jim Carrey.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's fucking terrible.
Oh my God.
That's fucking bad.
So crazy.
Anyway, they obviously got the guy.
Yeah.
But having said that, they thought maybe it was the boyfriend of Victoria at one point until they figured out, hold it, he's a locksmith and there's forcibly entered the house. Mm-hmm. And number two, why in the hell did he leave the baby there if it's his? Yeah. Right. So they decided to throw that case out. They went in Scott, as idiot as a brother as he was.
He did the right thing.
Did the right thing in spending the next 12 years in jail, by the way, for having driven him there like an idiot. Claimed at first he didn't know what the hell was going on, et cetera, but that obviously wasn't the case. So, and the funny thing is even when Ernest went to jail, he tried to put a hit on the husband of Victoria, whatever his name was, Ramos. Yeah, Mr. Ramos.
Francisco Ramos.
Francisco.
Thank Ernest?
You.
Good old Francisco.
Ernest
puts a hit on Ernest puts a hit out on Francisco.
He's like
Ernest meets Joe Exotic.
Oh God. Like, what an idiot. I'm going to tell my cellmate, hey, tell you what, can you get a hitman for me to kill this guy? And by the way, take this note with you that says, yeah, I killed him.
I mean, look, but he wasn't the smartest. I mean, he killed his family over divorce. Like, who cares?
You know, we go back to the psychological thing. Think about this. Christmas time is time for what? Family.
Gremlins.
Family.
Dead?
Yeah. Krampus, Black
death,
Pete,
murder,
all that.
Booze,
violence,
booze, lots
drugs?
of eggnog.
Norwegian black metal. That's the holiday spirit of snowy.
So that is the unfortunate tale.
That's terrible.
Truncated but unfortunate tale of Mr. Wholaver.
So hear me out.
Yeah.
If you were a locksmith and you wanted to make it look like you weren't the perpetrator, you break those doors.
And there you
go.
The reason they focused on him at first, Anton, is he wasn't sure that the kid was his. He said Victoria's been screwing around me. They ended up giving him a paternity test and all that.
That's enough of a motive for the cops to stare directly at you.
So they were all over him.
Didn't Ernest put a hit out on him too?
That's what I just said.
Yeah, like that's
he put a hit out on the guy to try to infer that he was trying to kill the guy because that guy killed his family.
So
until his brother said no.
I have a very specific question.
I tell you, Burton, this guy just can't live.
Yeah, right. he can't be here anymore. I have a very specific question, and obviously, I don't think any of us here would know. How easy is it to put a hit out on somebody in jail? Is it really that easy?
Yes.
They get just emails that they're sending. I mean, like just like a morning memo.
I would imagine that's a through the grapevine kind of thing, isn't it? It's like so and so knows so and so knows so and so. I guess wouldn't it depend on, are you in maximum security? Who are you housed with? Are you housed with white collar criminals? Are you housed with killers? Are you housed with gang members?
Yep. Wrap up a note in the cigarette butt and
stick it up your asshole, and then when you get.
How did I know you were going there?
Your back pocket.
I'm the wolf. Yeah. You and then they're inspecting. It falls out. They don't notice because they're blind because you fart in their face. Falls out of your butt down into the drain. Enters into the sea. Someone's waiting there in a boat.
Next time you fart in front of your ladies, or mans or whatever you got.
Or theys.
Just tell him your asshole blew him a kiss. All right, December 28th, 1987. Ronald Gene Simmons. All right, it's not Gene Simmons. It's Ronald.
What is it
Gene
with these
Simmons.
fucking names? Ernest goes to prison. Gene Simmons kills his family.
Look at this guy, man.
Yeah.
Wow,
he
this
looks like a
guy
cult
is-
leader for everyone that can't see. Ronald Gene
the
Simmons,
hell?
walked into a law firm in Russellville. Can you guess where it is in the United States, Anton?
Russellville,
Russellville sounds like Kentucky.
It's Alabama.
Who?
Alabama?
What
Alabama.
state do we hate the most? Well, we don't hate
What state do you have the most beef? You and Billy make Arkansas.
Yes.
California?
Okay, Arkansas.
Oh,
not
sorry.
Alabama.
Arkansas.
Him and Billy were making fun of Arkansas at one
For a
point in time,
long
and it's
time.
one of the few like negative reviews that we have on there. And it's somebody just being like, "I liked you until y'all made fun of Arkansas."
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
If you guys don't know, this is very funny. Billy made a reference in saying that the people who wave around Confederate flags is saying it's heritage, not hate. And he was
that's
like,
what it
that's
was,
like
that's
me
right.
walking around with a fucking Nazi armband and being like, it's not heritage, or it's not hate, it's heritage. And so one guy left a fucking review and was like, you guys used to make me laugh so much until you made fun of the Confederate flag. And he's like, I got black friends that have the Confederate flag. And he's like going on and shit. And he gave us 2 stars. I'm like, well,
You know,
it's a joke.
Tom, Tomcat, you know what's interesting about this, and this is something that I think is always kind of funny, and maybe your viewers and listeners will kind of relate to this. Yeah. I think the peak of comedy genius is being able to laugh at yourself.
It's true.
Oh yeah, you have to.
100%.
Like
I wouldn't take anything Billy says seriously.
Well, even if you do, it's like there comes a certain point like where I think of the Confederate flag and I'm like, you guys lost.
Yes.
Also, the Stars and Bars wasn't even the fucking flag of the Confederacy. Wasn't that
No,
like
it wasn't.
Mississippi's Navy or something stupid?
Yeah. So it's like kind of like I guess it's kind of cool looking. But yes, it is. But it's like at the same time, it's like it's
So
just
we're in
kind of a
Arkansas
novelty thing, you
where
know?
they fucking eat babies. And he shot dead a receptionist who was infatuated with, but who actually spurned his advances, where I'm saying like she was like, fuck off, essentially. Then he went into the office of the oil company and shot the 2 executives, killing one and injuring the other. Then he drove to a convenience store and former place of work and shot 2 more people who would both survive. Finally, he would do the same to Woodline Motor Freight Company, shooting and wounding a woman. This guy's got like beef, and it's on the Patreon now. We've done a workplace murder episode like way back in the day, like when we first kind of started, and it happens a lot. And this guy is a prime example of it. It's so crazy. And
Just quit and leave.
yeah, I know. He
it's
sat
not
down and
about you.
waited for police to arrest him. The killing spree rocked the state, but the murders were merely a bookend to Gene Simmons' evil festive period. 6 days previously, he had shot and strangled his wife, 2 sons, and 4 daughters.
Jesus Christ.
He looks like a cult leader.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
so
yes.
question: why is his forehead so incredibly swollen? Am
Yeah,
I the only one
it's
noticing
weird.
that? Guy looks like a beluga whale.
He does.
Just a little bit.
If you peel back the skin, it reveals that bone that the one dinosaur used to have. They just,
I shot my family because the Boggy Creek monster told me to.
or there's just a very small alien creature controlling it. Like Men
It's
in
just a
Black.
rare evolutionary shoot off of humankind.
This story's crazy. He just went around, he killed his family and went and shot around everyone that he had beef with. That's what it sounds like. Right. It doesn't end there either. Gene Simmons then sat in, his name's not Gene Simmons, it's just fucking funny.
He started a rock band.
I know, Ronald Gene Simmons. Simmons then sat in his house among the bodies for 4 fucking days. He sat there for 4 days with the bodies. I don't know what he was doing with them, but leaving only to visit a local bar. He's like, all right, family, I got to go to the bar. And then he like fucking comes back and he's all drunk, petting his wife on the head and shit. I don't know what this guy did.
Nobody at the bar was like, Gene, I'm not going to lie to you. You smell like shit. You smell like dead shit.
On Boxing Day, 9 more relatives turned up to visit Simmons, his family, including Ronald Simmons' grandchildren. All were killed. He killed them all, okay? He took 16 people's lives for Christmas. 16 people. He killed everybody. He didn't leave no stone unturned. He killed his family, ran around and shot all the people that he was disgruntled with at work, it seems like. And on the... it's crazy.
I would respect him more. I really respect him if he'd make up the 9 to make it 25.
Yeah.
He's leveled up just a little bit.
Just 25, and then I would respect.
Did you notice something about this story though? The Tomcat. This is both his stories now. Both had the perpetrator sitting in a house for freaking days with dead bodies.
Yeah, it's true.
What's going on
I'm
there?
kind of a little concerned.
My fiance, she's in the next room, just slumped over.
Merry Christmas.
Bull, I want to formally invite you guys to do the Tomcat Murders episode.
Exactly. Maybe he can make a guest appearance from wherever he happens to be in that orange outfit at the time.
Yes.
Late in November 29th, specifically.
On the 25th of June, 1990, the Arkansas governor, Bill Clinton, good old I did not fuck that woman, signs, I did not, she didn't blow him or something, right? Is that the idea?
I fucked that dress is what I did. I fucked the blue dress.
If
She sucked his dick,
murder,
right?
Oh, she sucked my asshole.
Yeah, no, he definitely had sex with her. He definitely.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Oh,
100%?
Yeah, and Hillary Clinton is also responsible for the death of many people, so.
That is, yes.
Do you think he even would have put forth the effort into fucking her? Or do you think he's just like, I'm the president?
Well,
so
wait. Anton, no one's saying that he put forth any effort. She did all the work. Okay, he's a lay back and
sitting
kinda,
there
Yeah.
doing his cover shoot for Cigar Aficionado.
Yeah,
wonder
so
if
Bill
my
Clinton
wife-
She
signed...
said it'd be fine. She's busy drinking children's blood right
Yeah,
now. We got about 45 minutes before she gets back.
Literally. Wearing children's fucking cut off faces like Leatherface. But Bill
She
Clinton...
needs a nap after her adrenochrome hit. It'll come down in about 20 minutes.
Bill Clinton did sign Simons's executive warrant, and he was killed by lethal injection. Crazy, eh?
That's good. That's a good thing he did. You know.
I'm not going to lie. I thought you were going to say the opposite. I thought you were going to say Clinton pardoned him, and then we had a whole new rabbit hole to go down.
I know.
He
Who
finally got those 9.
did these people know?
Bill Clinton claimed to have the backs of African Americans and then jailed more black people than any other president in history. So,
That's how we get your votes.
yeah, fucking crazy. All right, who's next on the docket?
You want to do?
This one is really strange. We'll hit on this a little bit, but this is going to be a conversational one more than anything because this person who had a whole bunch of different names, maybe you will know him as Richard McCabe, or will you know her as a worker in a sex sauna? It's Chloe, or will you know her by her name in jail as Melissa Young?
It is. I was trying to look up photos of this too, and there's not many.
Not a lot.
It's weird.
Not a lot.
I found 2 specific ones.
Yeah, there's a few other photos of her when she worked for.
That is an attractive.
There it is. That's the one I saw. She's the.
Which one is she?
She's the
She the
third
one
from the left.
The Christmas tree?
Short hair.
Short hair.
Yeah.
Oh, short.
Yeah, all these people are like 60.
What the fuck are they drinking? Is that a Bartles and James? What is that?
It's orange.
I don't know what that is.
That looks like wine. What it looks like.
It reminds me of like those Smirnoff screwdriver things
Oh,
that
yeah.
teenagers are like, would you buy this for me? It's like, go away. I'm just trying to go into 7-Eleven because I'm already drunk. Get the fuck out of my way.
That's exactly
That picture right there was from her days in the, as they called the sauna spa or sex sauna,
Yeah.
or whatever
The
the hell.
sex sauna.
Yeah, I don't. That's what they call it over in the UK. I guess.
Wait, Bull.
This is from Edinburgh.
You dove way deeper than I did. What
He
were
looked
you
it up on
doing?
Pornhub.
I didn't research
were
this
you
at
doing?
all.
I'm assuming this is a bathhouse because those are.
He's all about it, dude. He's all about it.
Oh, you also have a...
Oh,
Didn't
yeah.
play for us, Tom. There it is.
Air horn. Yeah, it's the best sound in the world. It's a sound I hope happen. I hope Jesus Christ plays that sound when he returns.
Well, this young person, whoever that person was, a trans person, changed in 2002 or something like that, if I remember right. But on December 25th, 2013, in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Per crimeandinvestigation.co.uk.
Oh my God! Thank you for.
Okay, wait, do I sound 1,000 times better right now?
Just making sure that we have all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted.
How much better do I sound now?
Actually, a lot clearer.
All right, it fucking
Okay,
happened
what was
again.
going
It was coming through my computer. So I've been playing gunshot noises like the whole time you've been talking about stuff. I've played sound effects. It will come all through on the audio. I'll just overlay the audio onto the episode.
That's okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Of course. Because I was like,
Oh damn!
this has happened so many times on the episode where like I didn't fucking it comes.
You were probably going. I'm hitting these buttons and nobody's doing.
Yeah, I was like nobody.
Yeah.
What's
going on?
I saw somebody laughing. I was like, they're laughing at my bullet sounds.
Roadcaster is kind of hit or miss sometimes, but yeah, no, good.
Yeah, we're all set.
If somehow I outlive you, am I allowed to do that at your funeral? And I promise I will bring T-shirt guns.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then
I'll
shoot
just put
Chelsea
Strange Brew T-shirts
with the
I'm
T-shirt
not
gun.
Maud Flandering your
from
widow,
Simpsons.
okay?
All right.
Well, this gal, guy, something, that person right there.
Good old Melissa.
Melissa Richard McCabe Williams. No, Young. She killed this neighbor of hers because she tried to give him a present, and he goes, I don't really want that pair of shoes in that calendar. So, okay, well, I'm going to stab you 29 times then.
29?
I believe 29. Alan Williamson was stabbed 29 times. And what Young says, she just claimed it was caused by an abnormality of the mind. Ooh, damn, we've been missing these sounds the whole time. I'm kind of liking that. But anyways, when the police arrived at Young's flat, she was covered completely with blood, and she said,
fucked.
The power it gave me was amazing.
That's what she said?
She said it with that voice, by the way, because she still had a very low voice. The power it gave me was amazing, Beelzebub. Anyways, the toxicology report later said she was on several different drugs and drunk out of her mind and everything like that. And apparently, here's the thing I don't understand. This neighbor, Alan Williamson, like a few weeks before this, had gone over there and got trapped in her apartment. She wouldn't let him out. He had to jump from a window a full story to get away. And then she went over. He goes over there and apologizes. Goes over there for Christmas.
That's how I met Beowulf. That's how she kidnapped me.
Are you
jumped out the
retarded?
window and thought, is this foreplay?
This is my daughter you're talking about.
Whoa, okay, sorry. You meant an adult friend finder. Just
saying, like that's wild. That's insane.
I stabbed somebody 29 times because I didn't like the gift he gave me. Fucking crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It was a pair of training shoes in a calendar.
Didn't Melissa say
so he gave her the gift, or she gave him the gift?
The other way.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
He said, whoa, I don't want any gifts from you because it probably had strings attached. He didn't know it had a knife attached to it.
Well, didn't Melissa?
The strings would almost be preferable at that point. At least you can escape later.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. Unless the strings are used to tie.
But you got to remember, this was a 6'3" trans woman.
What? She was 6 foot.
Was she 6'3" or was she 6'3" in heels?
Yeah.
Well, I gotta imagine she had some heels on.
I'll say because I'm like 6'4" in heels, depending on the heels.
I'm like 6'7" in heels. Jesus Christ!
Brag about it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm like 5.
it's a burden. Didn't Melissa also say that she was like possessed by the Archangel Michael?
Well, she also has. She said that exactly when they came. She covered with blood, said this is really powerful. I was possessed by the Archangel Michael, and she has a tattoo of the Virgin Mary on one arm and the devil on the other.
Today on When Keeping It Wiccan Goes Wrong.
Exactly.
Is she possessed by the Michael the Archangel, or is she just kidding?
That's pretty wild.
Well, she obviously tried to get out of it with mental capacity issues, and she definitely had them. She was schizophrenic. She was borderline narcissistic and personality disorders of all kind.
Oh, you just described me in a sentence.
See, so now we've got two elements against you that tells me that your fiance may be slumped over in the other room.
You'll never know.
Well, I do see a bloody stocking in the background, so I'm kind of worried.
That's
Are you
actually
Norman Bates this? Are you just going to come back out dressed as Chelsea and be like, I was lying the whole time. I was fine.
Then we'll get to see how tall he is in heels.
yeah, not very.
Yeah, Tom's like 5'2" in heels, like 4'8" without him.
That's Billy's joke, okay? Fucking lanky ass, fucking lanky man of the lagoon.
Well, she's 20 years in jail right now. That's what her. Exactly. These people all think they're going to get away with shit for one reason or another, but they do. But this is one of those things I mentioned earlier. You look at this stuff and it's okay. Crime of passion, probably part of that was she had a thing for this Alan dude.
Yeah.
But it's all psychological and drug induced. All this shit.
Oh,
she was
lot
like on
of
14
it,
different prescription pills, wasn't she? Like 14.
Well, I was going to ask if we get the toxicology of what it was.
I don't know about that. Yeah, the toxicology
Sure
it didn't say what she was on. It just said she was on. I don't see that.
Because if she was drinking and they had her on, like, let's say a Xanax or a disassociative or anything like
14
that.
14 prescription drugs,
and she
inhaled solvents daily.
And drank to excess. And
What?
smoked heroin.
Oh,
She smoked heroin
shit.
before the murder.
Yeah.
So
she was.
Melissa
It
was
was probably a calendar of herself.
She was flying high.
Yeah,
That's what she was doing.
Yeah, I love to inhale fucking cleaners.
29 times.
I doubt they were cleaners. I'm pretty sure they were more than likely poppers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It gives you a fucking headache, though.
Yeah, it does. It's horrible.
It's like shoe polish.
It just seems like, you know what? Here's the thing. Like, it just seems like so much work.
29 times. Because people getting that thing of
They
passion.
gave her
just
a year for each stabbing, each time she stabbed, and then 9 of them weren't really that deep, so they just took them off.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, it just seems like I have to know.
But these people are messed up for. I think what's happened is these people get messed up for a period of time, whether it's relationship with the family that they end up killing or whatever.
Yeah.
It comes to a crescendo, comes to a tipping point. This person worked after she transitioned. Richard transitioned to Melissa. After he transitioned, he worked in the Sexon or whatever they called it.
Sextopia.
Yeah, and then stayed friends with the guy Cher that canned her. But apparently he went around and got into bar fights constantly and all this kind of shit. And
you know how
drugs.
I know like I'm a millennial? It's because I look at that and I just say, that's just way too much fucking work. I got to stab someone 29 times and then I have to go to jail for 20 years.
Sounds like
and then
Linda
have to,
Kasabian, man.
sit down in court and like explain myself. Like, it's just too much work.
You've been to Edinburgh, right?
I have been. Yes, I have. It's very
is
wonderful
it like
place.
a gloomy kind of?
If gloomy had a picture in the dictionary, it would be Edinburgh.
Okay.
Shortly followed by Dublin on certain days. But with that being said, it's a wonderful city, and the people, we have actually a mutual friend there, a wonderful person. The people there, though, are absolutely wonderful. But it's terrible that this individual, Melissa Young, decided to just murder. It just doesn't. That shouldn't be an option. It just really shouldn't. It's just too much work. Too much paperwork. You know, gotta sign.
You know what? I'm not going to kill you today. I don't want to do the paperwork on it.
That's literally a good excuse, really. Just too much work.
Well, I'll dive into mine because I know Anton's got one more. So I have two
left
more.
my notary stamp at home. I just can't possibly murder today.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that would. You know how many murders that would stop? You know, if it was just like people thought that way.
Did you get it signed in triplicate? No. Nope.
Yeah.
Well, you got to come back.
Exactly. Have you ever done
DMV of
paperwork for a house? Believe me, you'd understand that it is very tedious, and the murder is probably twice or triple that. So, just saying, it's like, just take a breathe.
Yeah, it seems like these
people's
people's like mind breaks, and it's like at the holidays they're just like mind snaps, and they're like, well, it's a good time to kill. Everyone else is like singing their holly jollies. You got carolers, fucking.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if there's carolers outside your door, I can understand it. I'll give them a pass.
You want to hear a creepy story? So,
maybe.
So my we were staying at my fiance's mom's, and they had down the street, they had a house full of Mennonites, Amish people, essentially. And they didn't have the house for that long, but it was weird when we saw them. Like, we saw people dressed up like literally like they were in the 1800s. And they were full on like Mennonites and stuff. And it was around Christmas, we get this knock at the door, and I think we're just like we're just staying at the house, we're having some drinks or whatever, and we hear this creepy singing, and we're like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then we hear a knock, and we're like, "What the fuck? We're not going out there." There's creepy singing we're hearing. And we look out the window, and they are caroling, but they look like they're ghosts because they're in like garments that are from, the 1800s. Like, it was fucking creepy. We saw them and they had like a lantern and shit. They legitimately had like a lantern, and we're going from house to house in this, I would say, pretty white neighborhood that like is in the country and stuff like that, and just like caroling. And I'm sure nobody answered their door.
Way to go, Tom. All of our Amish and Mennonite listeners have just turned off their computers.
Billy's got Mennonite family.
Our base is very heavy Mennonite and Amish. Like,
Billy made fun of the Mennonites.
Responsible for 100% of our downloads, okay? I didn't want to tell you this until just now.
I know. Billy's got Mennonite family, and he was making fun of them. He's like, they're not going to fucking listen to this. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
I don't know what a fucking podcast is.
So William Brandon Adelot, it was Christmas Eve of 2013, and Randy Adelot walked into Sharon Adelot's Florida home and found her where she laid. And there was a news report that she had been killed by multiple blows from a baseball bat and multiple stab wounds from a kitchen knife on December 28th. A judge set a $1 million bond for their son, William Brandon. Crazy. The high school senior.
Fuck names their kid 2 first names.
Yeah, I know. That happens a lot. The high school senior had almost immediately been arrested for the murder, and according to further reports from the news reporter in the PNJ, the Pentecostal News Journal, Pensacola.
Pensacola.
I was like, I'm not American.
It's a place in Florida.
Pensacola. Sounds like a pop.
We've talked about Pensacola before, Tom.
Pens and cola. You know, they have pens and they have a lot of Coca-Cola.
You guys have what? You guys have a military base, a Christian college, and
That's about it.
yeah.
It wasn't until it wasn't until October 2016 that they had the trial, and the psychiatrist explained to the courtroom that William Brandon had been diagnosed with having schizophrenia. Of course, that's the main go-to in this episode. The doctor said further that he was prone to hallucinations auditorily, so he would hear things, and including ones that told him that he needs to kill his mother, and said yes, releasing him into society would probably be a bad idea.
If the next words out of your mouth is they had just returned from a vacation to Clearwater, and the mom was advised to take him off of psychiatric meds due to a certain religious organization that we shall not name.
Although he confessed to killing, with the explanation of how he had been mad that his mother had insisted on enrolling him in a substance abuse program, he ultimately was found not guilty by reason of insanity. It is also worth mentioning just what that means. Attorneys and psychiatrists, they argued that he literally saw nothing wrong with what he was doing. And in Brandon's word, he confessed that the killing felt like I did the right thing. Sentenced to the Florida State Hospital in Chattahoochee? What's Chattahoochee? That sounds a fun place.
It's when you have a really good conversation with a woman that you'll take home later that night.
Chattahoochee? Chattahoochee. That's a real place in Florida, eh? Florida's got crazy names.
So Tom, I just want to point out in that photo you showed, I'm pretty sure they have an incredibly rare Mercedes-Benz in their driveway. That's just want to throw that out for all the car people. I think that's a Mercedes.
This kid looked like somebody I went to high school with. Like just the.
Yeah, he kind of has that face, you know.
Yeah, it's
like one of those universal high school faces where he's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I went to school with that kid, but maybe I didn't." Yeah.
Yeah. So he's in Chattahoochee, which is so much fun to say. Chattahoochee. And he continues to undergo treatment and regular evaluations, which is a crazy, so essentially they're saying that the voices talk to him, but then he was like, I just felt like I did the right thing. The voices said it was right, and I fucking listened to them.
You know what's going to be interesting is when eventually we get the technology medically to be able to determine whether someone is 100% schizophrenic or not, like fully, like fleshed out, can determine without even them knowing.
Oh, yeah,
medically, and then we go back, we retroactively do all this, and it turns out like half the people who are in jail lied about it.
I had a schizophrenic friend growing up. He actually showed me how to use the Ouija board and got me into occultism stuff, and also said when he walked by churches, he would hear screaming. And I was like, makes a lot of sense because a lot of people go to church sad.
Well, that was just people singing.
Yeah.
It's Sunday.
It's just the choir.
On Sunday. Believe me, there are
bad choir.
some tone-deaf singers in churches. I've heard many. It's quite a plague upon the church is tone deaf singing, but that's okay.
All right, who's got the next story? I'm guessing
I
the
thought
wolf.
for a moment you were going to tell me that like that drug and alcohol abuse program was something to do with the Church of Scientology, because there was a case of a mother whose son was schizophrenic and ended up killing her because she took him off of meds because they had said, hey, this is bad and we can fix him.
And obviously we could dive deeper into these cases at some point. Who knows? But the fact that like they kind of like his mom wanted to take him to some sort of treatment, and then he was like, "Fuck that, mom, you're gonna die," and then he kills her because he doesn't. He's like, I like smoking my weed, because essentially I would think maybe he was smoking weed or like some sort of drugs. He's like 17 at the time.
You said there was a toxicology report. What was on it?
Yeah.
Did I say that?
I believe you did.
I never said that.
Mentioned toxicology.
Nope, not once.
They didn't do a toxicology report?
They said that he was prone to hallucinations, especially auditory.
You're still gonna do a toxicology report.
Yeah, that happens whenever I, smoke meth.
No, but the thing is, if you have someone who's like, I smoke tons of weed. I have my pipe ready for when I'm not having to read a story. But it's not a crack pipe, just so people know. Is that like
thinks the lady doth protest too much.
Yeah, it's
Let me make some qualifications, guys.
I could see someone who maybe has schizophrenia and smoking weed and it kind of making it worse. Like I remember watching this. There was a show on MTV and it would talk. I can't remember. It was like it was talking about people in their lives or some shit. It interview people that live in weird situations. And one of these guys had schizophrenia and he would just smoke weed to kind of calm it. And he was like, they have like a video of him. This is like an MTV show. He's like smoking a joint, walking down the street, and he was like, "Yeah, I see like there's a bird coming and flying around my shoulder and sitting like hanging out." He's like, the sky looks very colorful, and saying all this shit that they don't see, but he sees it, and he's like, I just deal with it by smoking weed. And it's just like
MTV, of course, the most trusted of all sources.
Yeah, they are. They're right
TV.
up there with Vice News.
Yeah,
they're real good.
Yeah,
like maybe you shouldn't smoke weed while you're schizophrenic.
No, probably not. But how do you know?
Yeah, how do you know? Because everything looks real to you.
You got to talk both parties into not smoking.
I do, like as you guys know, I do mushrooms a lot, and I'm always scared I'm gonna get stuck like that. Where I'm like, fuck, my brain's gonna get stuck in this hallucination. Like,
I'm proud of you. You went longer than an hour without mentioning mushrooms.
I know.
Yeah, that's good. No, you did a good job.
30 minutes in, Trudeau. I will call you out on that, but
It's true.
Mushrooms are Trudeau. I saw something literally this week on Instagram, which is also a very trusted news source, that talked about how apparently when someone dies, their brain plays out a very long life, like to try and cope with their death.
Yeah, the DMT supposedly releases into your brain, but I don't believe in existentialism.
Well, that aside, what if that's true? What? Because then how do any of us know any of this is real? We could all be dead right now.
We could all be doing
that's
that
true.
right
Like, remember that close call type thing? Like, that's literally what it said.
And the more mushrooms I do, the more I realize that this reality is not as real as we think it is.
It is all a simulation. I have said that in multiple episodes, and I will continue to say it. I've got one more. Anton, you got one more, right?
I do.
And I have one more. And then, Bull, do you have one more? Or are you all wrapped up?
I'm good.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, he's done his two. He's done his penance.
So perfect. Here we go.
So who wants to go? We'll Rochambeau this?
We going age before beauty then?
I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Fine. I'll go.
None of you know how old each other is, do you?
I'll go. I'm 30. I'll go. Okay, I'm gonna.
Well, you said 92, so I already know that I'm older than you. That's fine.
True.
You know what, Anton? Out of respect to the elderly, I will go.
The elderly. Why are you staring at me when you say the elderly?
Hang on, I gotta get this white gunk out of the corner of my mouth really quick.
Can you hear me through the hair? Like, no, I get it. No, it's okay. I'll have that eventually one day too. So, the last person that I will talk about, his name, unfortunately, is Alexis. His last name is Valdez. And for our listeners, because yes, I am a lawyer, this is from grunge.com and CBS News, because CBS News is petty and shitty, and I'm sure they'll come after me if I don't quote them. Normally, the Christmas season is about goodwill towards those around you. Normally. Unfortunately, this isn't indefinitely sustainable. On Christmas Day of 2013, Alexis Valdez found himself in such a situation. 18-year-old Alexis had been staying with his aunt and her boyfriend, Sylvester Diaz-Hernandez, who was 41. The couple allowed Alexis to live in their apartment as long as he went to school, kept a job, and helped with the bills.
That's a girl's name. Why does he have a girl's name?
It is, yeah. I was refraining from saying that, but Alexis is like seriously a chick's name. Like, it's not a very good-looking woman either.
Alex is on fire.
Yeah, that's a great band. During his time with his aunt and her boyfriend, Valdez decided to drop out of school and quit his job, which didn't uphold his end of the bargain. This nullified the agreement that Valdez had with his aunt. While Valdez's aunt was away at a Christmas party, Valdez was home drinking, and after accompanying Diaz-Hernandez to a drugstore to buy more beer, upon returning home, Sylvester decided to ask Alexis to leave because he violated the agreement. It's fair. Unfortunately, Alexis was 18 and his brain's not fully functional, so he decided that this request was too much to ask. Alexis confronted Sylvester, and things quickly turned violent. In his rage, Valdez killed his aunt's boyfriend with a hammer and then decided that mutilating the body by removing all of his limbs with a butcher knife and decapitating him and then disfiguring his face in the process by removing his ears, his nose, and his mouth.
This guy went all in.
He did. It was an appropriate response to asking him to leave. Prosecutors also said he pulled Diaz's eyes out of his head using his bare hands.
This is a kid that would have been a fucking serial killer if he didn't get caught, because it seems like, okay, he kills him and then he's like, I like this. And
that kid is too stupid to be a fucking serial killer.
Well, yeah, he's too stupid to be a serial killer. But then again, there's a lot of really dumb serial killers. During this process, Valdez played loud music and covered the apartment windows to mask his crime. So that was his best way of covering up the mess that he made with his little fingers.
Covering up the windows and dismembering, chopping everything into a million pieces.
Yeah, it's really sad. Now, at his hearing, prosecutors alleged that Valdez called 911 to report the dead body. The dispatcher had apparently asked whether he had attempted CPR, to which Valdez allegedly laughed and said that the body had, quote, no head.
CPR.
At the scene, like, why would I do that? It just fell off. Upon arrival at the scene, police discovered Valdez covered in blood. Valdez admitted to the slaying and apparently told authorities that had his aunt come home and seen the victim's body, then he would have killed her as well. So he was not very remorseful.
Yeah, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, so in February of 2017, Alexis Valdez, now 21, was sentenced to 33 years in prison.
That's
According to CBS News, Selena Diaz, Sylvester's 17-year-old daughter, told the Sun-Times via email that her father, quote-unquote, was a good person. He never did anything to anyone. He was a good father. He did what he could for me and my brother. He did the best to provide for us after me and my brother lost our mother.
Okay, what?
So Alexis Valdez, hopefully he rots in prison.
He had a kid, or I'm confused.
So Sylvester,
the victim.
The victim. So Sylvester had a son and a daughter, and his girlfriend, who was the aunt of Alexis.
Right. Because this kid, how old was he? 17?
18.
He fucking just snapped.
He couldn't even grow.
Crazy.
Yeah, he just snapped.
I mean, look, like, obviously.
Look at that guy. Look at him.
Yeah, look at him, yeah.
Would
Look at
you
that
have
face.
seen that picture and go, okay, I'm a little worried? I would.
Yeah,
it's crazy how, like, I always find, like, especially like young teens and stuff like that. And there's these cases now with, obviously, with the social media and celebrities, even within true crime, where there is crime cases of teenagers killing people for the mere thought that they will be famous. And what do human beings need? Love, attention, and care most times. So if you don't get those things, you might end up resulting to killing somebody, and then you get all this attention and everyone's looking at you. But this is a weird case, because I remember because you guys were talking about it beforehand, so I was getting pictures, everything like that. And this one was like, he just seemed to snap. Like, a lot of these people, just like something happens and their brain fucking breaks. It's just so crazy.
I've always suspected that might be the case with a good portion of them, but I also think that due to, obviously litigation and legal issues and trials, that there's some veil that these individuals hide from in order to prevent some level of heavier sentencing or more strict sentencing. Obviously, I always think that there's something preceding that. Like, obviously, he was up to some shit.
Well, how do you not?
Life.
Yeah,
that just makes the most sense, though, is that there was some sort of,
Which is sad, because it's like,
I think it's blind rage. I think in half of these cases, people, as you said, they snap, right?
Yeah.
And they go, and it's just blind. You have tunnel vision. Have you ever been in a fight?
Yeah, I played ice hockey
for
12 years. Yes.
Like, hockey was intentional.
No.
Yes, you were in a fight in a hockey.
I knew who I was going
right?
to fucking fight when I hit the ice.
Yeah, but
exactly.
Do you remember in the moment, everything goes away except what you're doing right in front of you.
Yeah, but I think
at least that's the way I use it.
Yeah, but I think that's like a byproduct of adrenaline.
No, yeah, my favorite part of going to see my brother play hockey was the fights, and my brother would close his eyes and he would just fucking swing.
But here's the thing: is like in real life, like obviously there's some people that like very obviously there's some people that have that happen to them. I'm not saying that's not the case. I just think that there's like always like a precedent, right? Because if I'm sitting down and like I sit down with you or I sit down with someone else and like you guys say something that angers me, my first reaction is not to beat your head in with a hammer. Like it doesn't solve anything. Yeah, like it doesn't.
Sure.
No, that's still my third reaction. But no, like it just doesn't solve anything. It's like, here's the thing: is Alexis obviously knew what the deal was. Alexis, if you're listening, because you have all the fun tools and cushy prison that you're in. If you're listening,
be surprised.
You knew what the deal was.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just accept it?
It is
crazy.
crazy.
It was Christmas Day. I get it.
I just think that something happens. People snap. They have this rage. They go blind. They get tunnel vision. Whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, all the other bullshit we talk about is like the oh shit. How do I cover this up? How do I? And then there's a resignation. Like this guy, like, oh well, I might as well call it in my headless victim over here. I can't really get rid of it, and can't get this blood off my hands.
Maybe I'm just a little too manipulative. Maybe that's what.
Yeah, you are.
Like I can look at the situation and be like, I could fuck this situation up real bad, but also just like take a break and be like, if I like apologize,
you take a breath and
like just. Take
I'm
a breath
sorry
and,
that your head's
that?
across the room.
Like,
and your body's
hey
over
guys,
here.
like. Look, Sylvester, sorry I didn't pay the bills and didn't hold up my end of the bargain. I'll go back to school and I'll get my job back. That seems like a first avenue that I would go down.
Logic versus emotion.
Yeah. Like I just don't think it's enough.
No, it does seem like he's like just some like I don't know, like it's a kid, right? All these they make one huge mistake. But there's something that would have led him to this conclusion to want to the fact of that people like we mentioned Dahmer before, but that spend the time to dispose of the victims or even attempt to is crazy because your mindset. You murder someone in a fit of rage. That wears off, I would think, fairly quickly. I've been fairly angry in my life and dealt with a lot of anger issues, and it would wear off fairly quickly. But sitting there and then fucking sawing someone's head off is a completely different story.
You know what it makes
ripping
me think
the
of,
eyes out.
Yeah, that too.
What part of the disposal process is removing the eyes with your hands?
That's just pure rage.
Well,
that is rage. Yeah.
You know what I
or
think
just sadism and curiosity.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, because here's the thing. Like, I'm sure that's a part of it. But you know what I think of, and this is something Beowulf and I talk about all the time. Like one of the most disturbing cases that has always bothered me when it comes to like murder and shit is Chris Watts. I don't know if you guys.
Me and Billy covered.
It's one of the few ones I refuse to talk about.
And here's the thing: it visually makes me angry, and it breaks my heart. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say this is because, look, I don't have kids yet, and one day, very soon, hopefully, I will. With that being said, I look at that situation with Chris Watts, and I say, dude, just fucking divorce your wife. Like,
it's a crazy. That's
kids.
It's
like
fucked, man.
like and the reason I think of that is because it's like with this same guy, it's the same scenario. It's like just take a breath, leave the house for a little bit, go get a drink, or hell, go to Denny's. Go to Denny's. Order a Grand Slam. Have the Grand Slam. Breathe a little bit. Come back and say, look, I fucked up. I'm not going to kill you.
Smoke some weed. I doubt anybody, if you, nothing else in your system, not alcohol, no other drugs. If someone just went and smoked a joint, you would be like, yeah, that's a bad idea.
It just doesn't make a whole ton of sense to me because it's like there's a litany. There's literally hundreds of different options that these people have. And it's like, bro, like one, you didn't hold up your end of the bargain. And two, that was your first choice.
See, and we talk about so much true crime on this podcast. And Billy always mentions that we talked about Chris Watts because it was fresh. It just came out on Netflix. So we talked about it and we had like a review of like, loved it. Want to hear more or some shit. Like, you guys need to do a second part. It was like, and Billy's like, it's all fucking fun and games, making fun of these serial killers in the 70s and 80s and even some of the 90s because it's just detached. And usually we make fun of the killer. But that case, like, he's like, it's not a fun
it's too
time.
Near.
It's the unfortunate part about it is it's so fucked up and it's also such an apparently like, look, I get being angry. I get all that stuff, but it's like, dude, you had so many options, many options. You could have just left. You could have disappeared. You could have said, you know what, Shanann, we're not going to do anything. Like, I'm done. There's so many things you could have done, but instead He strangles his wife and he stuffs his kid into a kid's.
That's why I say there's
into
a psychological issue here, because this is the same kind of argument about suicide.
Sure, yeah.
People get so divorced from whatever a bigger picture reality is that they can only focus on whatever the negative thing is right in front of them, and it becomes everything.
It's main characters.
Yes. Everything.
It's main character syndrome. It's what it is. It's and look, I'm not to suggest that people don't struggle with things. I'm just saying, if you think the world revolves around you, you'll think that the first immediate hyperbolic reaction is the one you should take.
Right. And there's your answer.
I don't think that qualifies for suicide.
Maybe not in all cases. Maybe not in any case, really. I mean, I think there's speculation there. I think suicide is maybe comparable to serial killers, where it's so abnormal.
I shouldn't conflate the two.
No.
My point is that there's different things that happen to all of us as individuals.
Yeah.
And those that are prone to taking whatever the focus of their intention is will make that everything, whether it's all negative or all positive. Every one of us knows people like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That are either all in or all out.
Well,
and if you don't get yourself away and give yourself a breath and go to Denny's and get a grand slam like you talked about, then you're going to focus on that thing till something bad happens.
Well, when this is
that's
look, I've had family that has struggled with suicide. I've had friends that have struggled with it, and thankfully, none of that has come to fruition, fully, thank God. But I think the thing that I wish if we had the ability to go back in time and talk to people like Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer before they did any of their things, or this kid before he decided, and sit them down and say, dude, there are so many things you could do instead of that. Like, hell, you could punch him in the face. Like, I'm not saying,
no.
I'm just saying, it's just there's this level of things where it's just like, I get they're humans. I do. I empathize with the fact that they're humans. I can't empathize with what they did because thank God I've never been there. Hopefully, I never will. But with that being said, it's a joke. With that being said, it's like I wish people would just take some time.
No, well, they show it within every Dahmer's story and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
That his dad and everyone was trying to help him get give him some sort of push to an extent.
I don't know,
his dad was showing him how to do that shit. And it's
his dad's culpable. I thought you were saying the opposite.
No,
his dad definitely has a little more.
We made this big conclusion, and that's why all these things are influenced, right? Like everything we're talking about, even when it comes to true crime and the Christmas season, that makes people either extremely happy and spend too much money and go in debt, or it's like the Evening Keel kind of like family stuff, or you have people that have nothing.
Or it's isolation and loneliness.
Yes,
exactly. It's the people that have
well,
absolutely nothing. And I think that with a lot of the stuff like that, Bull, you have a point where it's in the moment. It's that moment is the only moment that exists, because their brains are unable to do what you were saying, Wolf, which is the rationalize and be like, okay, bigger picture here. A lot of people don't see bigger picture, or their comprehension of the bigger picture is so fleeting, and you get maybe a moment of lucidity in your whole whatever.
Well, I guess, and this might be naivety on my part. I just wish people would realize that they're, and this might be the alcohol talking, they're a lot more valuable than they think they are. I mean,
no, for sure. This is a sad season too. So
well, here's the thing: is it's like, look, I've come from shit scenarios. I've dealt with granted, not the worst scenario in the world. I'm not going to play this little fiddle. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I get what it's like to feel that way, and it's like there are so many alternatives. Like, you go talk to someone. Like, hell, you could talk to a stranger and say, "Look, I'm having a really bad day. Do you mind listening to me for a few minutes?" And if they don't, fuck them. But there's other people that will.
Or stab them 29 times.
Or that's an alternative too.
Are you trying to sell a commercial right now? Or are we selling a commercial?
So Pfizer has come out with a new product.
I was like, it's going to get a lot sadder with the story that I have.
Yeah, it's just sad. It's like you need to hit wasted. That story. It's wasted, unfortunately.
Yes. Anton's gonna get fucking choked up. William Howard. Okay, this is
blazing.
Yeah, this is a sad one. The death of 15-year-old Willie Howard came just after Christmas of 1994. For those who killed him, in fact, the black teen had given a Christmas card to a white coworker, just like, hey, Merry Christmas. And the card, it was signed simply L, love. Then he wrote up a follow-up apology letter for his fondness, hoping that someday black and white people would be equal and continuing to love each other. And he said he loves this chick's voice. 1944.
1944. 1944?
44? Yeah.
Okay.
I was
So-
94. I was like, Jesus.
No, 1944.
Like, I get it, it's still a problem, and we're not there yet. 94.
1944.
Jay, it's not all I imagine is you saying that southern voice a few minutes ago.
I understand that this is still a problem, and we're not there yet, but 94, my God.
Oh, we've lost Bull on the phone.
I do declare, who are you associating with? I ask who?
So he says he writes in the letter that he loves her name and loves her voice, and it was for SH, sweetheart. You're my choice. He like did a little rhyme, and the card was given this girl named Cynthia Goff, and according to the Equal Justice Initiative, it was her father and her two friends who kidnapped Howard from his home and then took him to his father from work, and the father and the kid were driven to Swanee River, where Willie was held at gunpoint, and he was told to jump or be shot. I was like, it's going to get really sad if what we just talked about was equally as sad. So, according to the affidavit, his mother later gave her husband that returned home and told her that their son would not be returning. The teenager's body was recovered the following day, immediately buried without a funeral, and his parents left town afterward. According to the Baltimore Sun, no one was ever held accountable. No one was ever arrested. Never put to trial, and never convicted.
Wasn't that in the Shadow Puppets on the end of the new Candyman? I want to say that story. There was a story involving a note and somebody getting murdered. Because I know they did the Emmett Till one, and they did the youngest execution that ever took place in the U.S., which is that's a. I don't know about you guys, but anytime I see that picture, that fucks my day up.
They probably did add that.
It fucks my day up real bad.
Yeah, that's fucked up, and it's crazy that people like this, especially at this time, like they just don't like. They're just like judging people, and I think it's based on like politics and stuff like that, and their influence of the political climate. But they saw these people as slaves in some parts. So
what area was that in again?
Was it Baltimore? You said?
Yeah, it said the Baltimore Sun, but it's
Baltimore in the 40s doesn't exactly sound like a hotbed of progressive thinking.
No.
Yeah, sorry to make it even sadder, but that was the story. I found that was fucked up.
I mean, that's inevitable. I mean, these are not supposed to be, hilarious stories. I think all of us are laughing because of uncomfortableness.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's all.
I've been meaning to talk to you about how your reference about how we met on Adult Friend Finder has really made me uncomfortable.
Was that my reference?
I'm pretty sure it was your reference. I'm very uncomfortable right now. Yeah, that's terrible.
So this was in Florida. 15-year-old boy lynched in Florida for sending love notes.
Swanee River. That makes more. Yeah. Georgia has the Swanee River come down, but it
just shows the intolerance of people at the time.
Just go to Denny's. Go to Denny's.
They didn't have Denny's.
Get a Grand Slam. Fuck. Order pancakes.
Yeah.
How old is Denny's? Now I need to know.
That's a good question. I'm looking up.
Down there, it would have been go to a Waffle House. Okay.
Oh God, I miss Waffle House so much.
Waffle House.
All right, 1950. Oh, I love Waffle House.
We were in Atlanta, downtown Atlanta.
You know now.
House.
You know now. You know the secret. You know what love is.
I do not know what they make out of it.
Denny's,
how they make that.
1953, and they make waffles at Waffle House with love.
Waffle House is probably around longer than Denny's.
Oh, it's so good.
It's the felonies that make waffles taste so good at Waffle House.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
Those waffles are made with freedom. Those people just got done doing hard time.
Yes, they are. And those waffles are phenomenal. I could probably eat there every day of my life.
Oh my God, you would be.
What are you talking about? No.
What do you mean? What are you talking
eggs
about?
And bacon. Eggs and bacon.
So you're a lawyer. You'll turn into a Southern lawyer real quick.
Yeah, you go in there,
We twirl in a pocket watch. Your Honor, I've just come from your finest waffle establishment.
I'll get my regular.
It's like, yeah.
No, don't skimp on the gravy, you heard?
I'm going to spend most of my day here because my children hate me.
I love Waffle House. It's an American pastime. It's better than baseball.
Never been
Waffle
there.
House.
What? Never. I think I've been to a Denny's once in my life in Niagara. not my thing.
You're not really missing anything with Denny's. I mean, it's a good like late night thing.
Come on, he eats vinegar with his French fries. Come on.
do. I actually do.
Whoa. What's wrong with fucking malt vinegar on French
That's
fries?
phenomenal. It's
Actually,
great.
I like it, but
All
I'm
right.
trying to make some kind of joke about Canada.
You can't. They're too nice. You can't make a joke.
Oh no, they're passive aggressive dickheads. You can totally make as many jokes as you want.
Yeah, that's actually. Yeah, Tom, tell us about that.
It's very true. Till we're not.
Where you're from is referred to as Southern Ontario, even though it's not. Even Tommy Chong said it was Southern Ontario. So.
Canadians are basically like Wisconsinites.
No, but here, Tommy Chong did say that people in Canada punch people. And he's like, when I went to California, he's like, nobody did that. He's like, kind of like how just like Canadians get into fights.
Yeah, no, Canadians are more prone to getting in the fights, but they're definitely, I would consider them as nice as Wisconsinites, but I get the passive aggressiveness because Wisconsinites, you can never tell if they hate you or love you.
There's a lot of serial killers from Wisconsin.
It's kind of like the German people. You never really tell.
Again.
Yeah. Offer you some cheese and all of a sudden
Ed Gein, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Ed Gein, Wisconsin.
Maybe he's
There's someone else
lactose intolerant.
Too.
Maybe he was just lactose intolerant.
That was his fight. That was his fight against the world was lactose intolerance.
Anton's got probably a really another sad story to end this.
All right, Anton, let's end this on a sad note. We're going to end this.
Ultra sad note.
Sad note.
You guys like flamethrowers?
Depends if they're pointed at me or not.
Anton, I have some inspirational music we can play to this.
Is it the theme for Apocalypse Now?
No, but it's corporate inspiration music. Here.
All right, let's go for it.
Start the story.
Welcome to sunny Covina, California, a suburb of Los Angeles.
Keep going.
For the fateful night of December 24th, 2008. At approximately 11:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, dressed in a Santa Claus suit, knocked on the door of his former in-laws' house, occupied at that time by about 25 people. A gift under one arm, containing an air compressor, converted to deliver gasoline at the hands of a makeshift flamethrower.
Oh my God.
And with no less
better,
than 4 semi-automatic handguns. Moments after the door opened, Pardo pulled out the handguns and immediately shot his 8-year-old niece, Katrina.
Oh my God. What are you laughing about? Jesus Christ.
The daughter of Letitia, a sister of Sylvia Pardo, as she ran to greet him, injuring her in the face. He then fired indiscriminately at fleeing partygoers. Police speculate that Pardo may have shot over and pointedly executed some of the victims using the other handguns. After the shooting, Pardo unwrapped the package.
Oh, man.
Opening the compressor, he attempted to set the home ablaze. The compressor malfunctioned, and it exploded, burning him
Himself up? Did he blow
in the
himself
fire.
Did he blow himself up?
He suffered third-degree burns to his arms and fled from the blaze to his brother's house. His brother was not home at the time, and he was out of town. He then committed suicide by a single gunshot. Oh, my God. Merry Christmas.
Wow.
So he blew himself up, kind of, right?
So yeah, he blows himself up. The compressor goes off, and it malfunctions, and it totally fucking burns him so badly that some parts of the suit were actually still like in his flesh.
To his fucking, holy shit.
Yeah, he 3rd-degree burns over good
That's
chunks
so
of him.
crazy, dude. Holy fuck. It's kind of like poetic justice.
I had to switch the tone. It just got too dark. I had to thank you for the music. That was perfect.
No,
That actually was
incredible.
perfect.
It is incredible what music will do.
Yeah, 100%. It changed the whole story. It made it like lighter. Like it was fucking. That's what we're doing from now on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah. Next serial killer case we cover, Anton, we're just gonna play inspirational music the whole time.
Inspirational corporate. Just go to storyblocks.com. They have so many.
Yes, can we use that? That's brilliant.
Hilarious. There's so many, and they're all the same. I just imagine somebody walking out and talking about their newest app or some shit like that.
Yeah, we got to do it like a bad training video though, where it's like you just step out of a door and it's like, why should you work here?
Are you a convicted murderer?
Let me tell you what the bodies looked like when they were removed from the blazing home.
He made a flamethrower. Did he like bring a
out of a?
flamethrower?
So it was like an air compressor tank that he converted into a homemade flamethrower.
This guy like was
Which
like,
what do we all know about making homemade things with fire?
Not a good
Never gonna malfunction.
I
Not
give
once
him,
in the history of anything.
I
mean, in his defense, like kudos for like engineering.
That's what I was gonna
For
say.
sure,
I give him a
but it's
gold
not like
star
people
for,
burn
like,
their houses down
creativity.
attempting to deep fry a turkey.
That is true.
This one had some serious planning to it, though.
That's crazy.
Oh, it was all just marriage dissolvement and hard feelings, like
2008,
100%.
What was going on in 2008? Economic.
Obama.
What are you
disaster.
talking about? Yeah, what are you talking about? The second greatest transfer of wealth.
Oh yeah.
It's a good time for everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good time, guys.
That's funny.
Yeah, there was a lot of Christmas crimes that year.
Yeah, that was.
That's crazy.
Well, that was wild.
Yeah.
That was wild. I pretty sure I cried.
Yeah,
during
yeah,
this.
that
So
shit
it
was
was
fucking funny.
It was so emotional to me.
See, and we have to make light of like dark shit all the time, and we do. We make some really inappropriate jokes that like some people may not find funny. Like we did when we did that Dahmer episode. I dressed up like Dahmer. And like it was it was just to for fun and to embody this talk of how we were just going in with like just a big long format talk of diving into why we think he was like that and what happened to him and why people are like that. And we do it all the time doing these true crime episodes. And serial killers, you become jaded because I've like researched it my whole life, but like there's some crime cases like the Chris Watts thing and other ones that just get you. Like we talked about the Highway of Tears. Like there's.
I don't want to do the Benoit murders. I don't want to do the Watts
I
murders. Family annihilations are just like,
You're too
Just
much.
leave, dude. Just leave.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's so concerning that I mean, I'm sure it's probably similar in Canada because you guys are a northern neighbor. It's so similar. Like when it comes to like the censorship of comedy, it's like comedy is to like literally to cope with this bullshit.
No,
because otherwise
100%.
you're sitting there and Jeffrey Dahmer murdered those men. He opened up their skulls and ate their brains. How joyful! Like it's like it's like there needs to be some levity.
There
And if
has
it's
to be
offensive,
like even
sure.
like that's why I like how Mel Brooks talks about during even people in concentration camps they would have to like make jokes and stuff like that because they're in this
gallows humor has always been a thing.
horrible
yeah,
sense
absolutely.
like you're in a horrible place. You have to try to just cope with it mentally. So a lot of times I just laugh at the ridiculousness of crimes and how crazy and how long these people get away with this shit and like nobody seems to notice.
To me, the humor is also in just the absurdity and randomness of human existence sometimes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, those crimes where you're one of those 7 people that was picked at random to be killed.
Yeah.
And that's you did nothing to anyone and you're just
What are
there.
the odds?
Yeah.
What are the
You're not
odds?
going to be able to make any logical sense of any of this kind of shit. You might as well laugh, right? If you can.
Well, to get woo-woo with it too, like in New Age and occult beliefs, laughter is just as good a banisher as anything else. Like it just kind of disarms anything that's in front of you.
Yeah. And it's I just think that anyone who gets offended by this shit, obviously it's their right to do so. We live in America and Canada, relatively free countries, relatively, unless you're Justin Trudeau's assistant. But it's you got to be able to laugh about this shit. I mean, it's so like any one of these is just so devastating.
Yeah, 100%. This shit's horrible. I laugh at how horrible some of this shit is. Not like in saying that I have to cope with it because I'm like, holy shit! Like, how does this shit happen? Like, people get led to this, and you're like, man, because you can't picture what it would be like to be in that person's shoes. You can try all you might, but like, you don't know what those people's headspaces are, and the fact that it can just snap, someone's brain can just give up and be like.
I think that's what's fascinating about it is just trying to figure out like what makes this.
Yeah.
How
Can you imagine though,
how do you
being
get
one of those,
here?
One of those behavioral analysis people, though. Can you imagine?
I wanted to do that when I was a kid. I just wasn't smart.
A lot of people I know wanted to do that, and then I go,
well, that's why part of me is
would
like
you,
pissed.
I think it'd be really cool, but you'd have to
It'd be
like take a
disturbing.
break.
Well, part of me is pissed that HBO canceled that Mindhunter show because that whole show. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
That
The
show was
entire
great.
show.
That book is that dude smelling his own fucking farts, though. I tell you.
Yeah. I got that from the show. I kind of got some smelly fart smells, but I
They
mean,
did a
like
good
my
job.
Well, the whole thing is like shows like that show like the devastation that people go through on this.
No,
show.
and
Like,
I thought people that got offended the
it's just
Dahmer
terrible.
show, it did the same. It actually showed the victims that they were real human beings. But it
Yeah.
also showed that he was just a really sick individual that was a human that like existed on our planet. And like we said, Evan Peters did amazing, but it's just like if that's the way they need to take this, and they're going to do Gacy. So like because people are fascinated.
That's
going to
be rough.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Do Kemper or Panzram, you fucking cowards.
Yeah. Like I would respect Kemper. I would respect Kemper over Gacy. Gacy's a hard.
No, they're all fucking
Gacy,
horrible.
That guy's a piece of
BTK,
shit. Like
fuck
that
all
is.
these motherfuckers.
Just like
Have
that
you
guy
guys
in particular
ever heard the argument of like showing gore in films versus going the PG-13 route, and that the argument can be made that PG-13 is actually, if you were to say media inspires violence, that PG-13 would actually be much more culpable for inspiring violence because it doesn't show anything. It's just like bang.
it leaves it to the imagination. Yeah, I can see that.
There's no consequence.
Well, I think a lot of this stuff, and this is why I think it's so fascinating, like bringing it back to like the shit breaks out of like times of turmoil. I think a lot of this shit is downstream of culture. I think a lot of it is, obviously, I've said this to the Bull multiple times, time is basically a circle in my opinion. And, when it comes to social unrest and when it comes to, economic distress and all these fucking shit shows that happen in a lot of ways because of our social betters decision making that they especially recently decided to impose on everyone except themselves. A lot of this stems out of that. And I see like when it comes to like Dahmer, or when it comes to that murderer in Idaho, whatever his name is, I don't even know if he has a name yet. It's traumatic to me because it's like a lot of this stuff is decision making. Yes, it's also mental, lapses, mental disturbances, mental sickness, but a lot of it also is a cultural thing. Because when it comes to Dahmer, when it comes to Ted Bundy and those individuals, I do think that there was a period of time of nurture that led to the nature that they became. And I think that's the case with a lot of these individuals. Most of it is nurture, in my opinion. I think there's a small nature aspect of it, like when it comes to mental illness, but not every single one of these people was sick.
No.
I just don't think
The question
that's
is, though, what prompts this? Where's the starting point? You mentioned, life reflecting entertainment, or entertainment reflecting life, and which start. I don't even know if it matters, but it's that circular
chicken
thing.
or egg thing.
It keeps deteriorating the way we view things. I don't know if PG's right or R's right, or PG-13 or R. It doesn't matter to me. It's gratuitous versus non-gratuitous, I think is probably a better.
Well, human beings have killed each other since the dawn of time. And the thing is, it's not going to change anything to not show that this stuff exists in the world. I think to shelter people and say that this stuff doesn't exist is wrong, because
there's a difference between sheltering it and giving it so much attention that it's kind of semi-glorifying.
Oh no, 100%. They did that with the Ted Bundy movie.
That's missing.
Well,
with the movie, they didn't show what he was actually doing with the victims. It didn't placate the victims at all. It didn't do anything. It just glorified that. What's that? The guy that thinks he's Zac Efron. Everyone thinks he's sexy, and he plays Ted Bundy, and then it was glorified like crazy.
Well, I think Tomcat, like to play devil's advocate, you can look at like the total lack of regard for that. Like, say for example, they made it rated R. Everything's rated R, right? And they show the violence and all that shit. I mean, I would wonder from a psychological standpoint, like what impact that would play on things like deer in headlight syndrome, where people see someone getting murdered or someone beat up or someone attacked, and they just whip their phone out and go, "Whoa, dude, TikTok, world star hip hop." Like there has to be a fine line in between. I do think a lot of this ties into the culture that is currently prevalent. And right now, I hate to say it, I mean, both in Canada and America, there is a commonality of apathy, of a huge divide, and of apathy generally. I mean, like,
I agree 100%. And I agree, glorifying this stuff is not going to help anyone's mental health. But if you're understanding it, it shouldn't be shown to kids and stuff like that. But I do think if the best form of media now that they're using is like documentaries and shows, because you can watch something and take so much information in rather than read it. And everyone's lazy and doesn't want to read a book nowadays. So you got to if you are able to handle these things, watch it. But there's the whole point of if you can't, shouldn't.
Yeah, but
I think. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, converting to a strictly multimedia, being audio, video, and what have you, diet for information is probably the easiest way to get yourself programmed, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, 100% too. Yeah. 100% too. But that's what people are lazy nowadays.
Unless as long as you're aware enough to know like to split your shit up and be like, okay, this, but then this, but then this, but then this.
Yeah. Well, I guess my question is, how do you teach that? Because like you're talking about like programming. Like
I don't know that you can teach that.
I don't think you can teach it, and I think that the big struggle there as well when it comes to programming is people watch stuff like Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy, or they hear about the stuff we're talking about with Marvellous Keene and Alexis Valdez and the Lawson family and all that jazz, and they think, oh, I would never do that.
Yeah.
Small little red man would tell you that you're wrong if you believe in that shit. And with that being said, I wouldn't suggest that I do either way. I'm just merely pointing out that I think the problem is people see themselves as being completely immune to something like that. When in reality,
think that evil forces
we're all the same in a lot of ways.
So you could easily.
Yeah,
be
I think they do.
by it.
I think they do as well. But I think there's like there's a give and take, right? So if like someone like, for example, to your point, uses like a Ouija board.
Yeah,
and somehow
I have
becomes
3
possessed.
in my room right here.
Oh, how dare you? Hasbro would be proud.
Yeah.
But with
They're
that
old
being
as
said,
fuck.
like someone uses stuff like that whatever. To me, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But what I do think is a commonality amongst serial killers and people who commit murders is they tend, per the advice of their lawyer or per the advice of whoever they're listening to on the legal side of things, hide behind things that can
insanity pleas
validate.
and stuff?
Oh, yes,
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
yes.
for sure.
I
We
agree.
talked about it on the
takes
Halloween
away.
episode about someone
Yeah.
that claimed the Ouija board influenced them to kill people, and there was like, no, you've definitely just killed these people.
Yeah.
These things are all there, and we all still have the ability to make our own decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some people make
Most of
terrible ones, some people don't. And I think the hard part is that the line. There's always been these lines that are out there: social lines, civilization lines,
I agree.
groupthink lines, and they're migrating in directions that normalize things that weren't normalized for me at your age. Not even close.
Yeah.
And I'm not debating whether they should have or shouldn't have. Maybe they should have been. But I'm also a guy that logically looks at stuff and says, this, I will view this movie myself or with my wife, but not my kids.
No, 100%. I would never. I'm so careful
but
about
that line is
stuff like
so
that.
blurry now.
Oh,
It's so
100%.
blurry now.
I don't even like Disney, dude. Like they
join the club.
They put weird
the
shit
club.
into fucking movies, man. I watch that all the time, and it is weird.
Disney's been putting weird shit in movies since Disney's been a thing.
since the beginning. But even
I
like
guess the whole point is it's in your face now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's so weird. And
Like the dick was hot. It was hidden in like a castle in the
Little Mermaid
and
on the
now it's
cover,
just
yeah.
like- now it's just penis right in your face. And you're
Yeah.
just like, why am I watching this movie? I wanted to watch a kid's movie.
And this is actually that's kind of teasing because we're doing a whole dark Disney dive, like a 2-parter. Because that shit
that'll
is
be a
like
good
nuts, man.
I am not a fan.
No, it's.
No, fuck
I told
Disney.
Anton there's a funny story.
I
when
hate that
was-
mouse with every fiber of my being.
When I was on, and you wouldn't need this to come to the conclusion, but I was on like 3.5 grams of mushrooms, and we came upstairs, watched a movie outside. My fiance didn't partake, and then I was like, we were watching. I was like, let's put on something I haven't seen in a long time. You know what? Let's throw on some Disney. That'll be fun. Put on Pinocchio, and I was like, this whole thing's about pedophilia. Why the fox is drooling over the wooden boy? Why is there a thing called Pleasure Island?
Have you ever read
What I
the
tell you
original
about what-
story? Have you ever read the original story of Pinocchio? That shit is a fever dream of nonsense.
Isn't it
Like, it's-
Geppetto's kid dies and then
Isn't
well,
Guillermo
so-
del Toro doing a fucking movie on that?
yeah, Del Toro is in one.
He should
He is.
because
It's
we
coming out soon.
covered this in like a Grimm's fairy tale thing, and Pinocchio isn't a Grimm's fairy tale, but it's kind of like
I think,
side
we talked
adjacent.
about it, yeah.
But like the big thing with all that, and I guess the thing that bothers me so much about Disney and Pinocchio originally didn't turn out to be like originally was not this weird, very suggestible story. It's just a weird one. It's just a weird story, but it was not
All of them
suggestible
are
in the way that
weird.
Disney's has made it. I think the problem that I have is like, look, if Disney was an adult company and they made movies for adults, wouldn't bother me. But the thing that gets me is they make movies for kids, and then they go about their production process. Like, for example, the thing that really gets me is with the newest Mulan, and they go ahead and thank the leaders of the CCP from the Xinjiang.
Chat, that's fucked
which
up,
is
man.
where they're basically sterilizing and killing Uyghurs, which is a population of Muslims in China,
Yeah.
Yeah,
about
so
1 million or
crazy.
2 million people. And it's like, you can't tell me that the entire design team and the production team and the directors and the entire company didn't know that was going on. You can't tell me that.
Where do you think they make most of their money?
Yeah, no, everybody's going for China
Absolutely.
dollar. That's
Yeah,
where the loot
because
is.
I was listening to this. I don't know if you guys like London Real. This is gonna get really political for a sec, but they was talking about how essentially the economists are projecting that by 2032, China will be the supreme, like essentially the supreme overlord, but they will be the supreme power in the world. And that's
a red herring.
everyone.
I don't think so.
You think so? Everyone's projecting
I also
this.
Red
disagree. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's they're a on a political note, they are a house of cards when it comes to
if they
GDP.
get to that point, it would be my prediction they're going to only be able to do it by constant military action to acquire.
Well,
that's the only way because
They have the bodies to
we're going
throw
into
at it. That's
recession.
it.
Well, here's what's interesting. I was talking with the bull about this just in the last few episodes, and we were talking about how a lot of people projected or predicted that China would have already invaded Taiwan. It should have happened this last March. Didn't happen, and the reason I think that is because a lot of Chinese elite, the people that make the money, that money that is specifically tied to that growing GDP that they talk about, a lot of the people who make a lot of money, they don't have enough children to throw into war.
They don't.
No,
And so
yeah.
it's like, I wouldn't, if I was a CCP, I would want to keep the people who fund my party happy. So why would I force them to send their children, who they only have one or two of, into military action if they don't have anybody to recoup?
Mostly male and aging.
Yeah, but they're saying that we're essentially going into like a recession, and that if they're picking up their economy fairly quick and backing it with like gold and all this stuff, and like it is an interesting take because this guy was a CIA agent, and he was like talking about how in depth and how he's like, I don't know, you guys might not like the London Real, they have David Icke on there. and shit,
My
but-
favorite thing about
I
conspiracy
don't think
theorists is picking and choosing which CIA agents are telling the truth.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, my biggest thing is like, look, there's this. I was telling Beowulf this the other night when we watched Top Gun again for like the 17th time. She loves the newest movie. It's a great movie.
Talk about programming.
Programming, right? But at the same time, there is a point that they make within that movie that I think is quite hilarious if you actually know anybody who works within that industry. They're using F-18 Super Hornets, okay? And the mainstream media in the United States likes to downplay our military prowess. They like to play it down. Like, oh, what happened in the Pacific? They're aliens, technology we've never seen. You know what I say to that? That's American private industry is what I say to that. Because we spend so much money on technology, on research.
The black budget, where did $4 trillion go? This is like after 9/11 and shit.
$4 trillion is fucking chump change.
I know,
It's
but
chump
back
change.
then it was like, it's crazy.
And here's the thing is I look at like there's a book called Skunk Works. It's a really good book. It gives you some insight into like the technology that they were working on within the 70s, specifically in relation to the I can't remember the name of the spy plane, but the plane that basically disappears on radar. Yes, I think that was it. It disappears on radar, basically becomes a blip. The band
or the
Bono.
Bluebird.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, is Bono riding on the rocket saying he's gonna save the planet?
No, not the Black Hawk, the Bluebird. That weird like
it's like the triangle one. It's the black triangle one. I can't remember the name of it, but
Stealth.
it might have been that. The B2 Stealth. Yeah. So the whole premise of the book is in the 70s they discovered that technology. What that tells me is the technology we have today, which is not yet consumer, would blow.
They're saying
minds.
that like I've known for a long time that they've said that essentially the military was 25 and they're saying it was 50 years ahead of us in like technology. And I have the belief that like, and it sounds crazy or whatever, but my belief is that they got it from the Roswell crash. And it sounds like a conspiracy, but it is weird. That whole event is a fucking strange thing. We like dived really deep into it, and if you see these credible people that are starting to say some stuff that is extremely strange, like even like the Benny and Barney Hill alien abduction, credible people, and all
or
these
the Roswell
things,
crash is.
Yeah,
I would say, or it's just it's a spin-off of Paperclip.
Yeah, that too, right?
Where it's just
right. So I guess my biggest thing is like when it comes to like China, I don't think that they're not a threat. I think they're probably America's and frankly the Western civilization's largest threat. With that being said, I really don't think they're as big of a.
We're all going to be speaking Chinese. Do you guys know any Chinese?
Yeah, I don't know if I don't. Mandarin probably should be something you learn just for posterity, but I don't think it will be.
What does that mean?
Ni hao, ni hao, ni hao.
I know one Japanese word. That's it. Sig sao. I think it means eat
you're
shit.
safe. You're safe. Yeah, you're safe.
Eat shit.
Just keep saying that over and over again.
Sig sao.
But I guess my whole thing is like I do think that the mainstream media, because they are partially through interest groups and politicians funded by the CCP, I think that they create China to be the big bad, a lot larger than it should be.
Yeah, because they influenced our election, so Canada's a fun place to be. Trudeau loves the Chinese.
Yes, he does. But they don't like him
we got
very much.
Chinese police stations everywhere tracking their citizens. It's amazing.
Tomcat, did you see the video with Justin Trudeau and Xi Jinping? And Xi Jinping he shat on him.
Yeah,
hilarious.
Like
Trudeau
he
became
goes,
like
cries
a little boy
in the corner. He walks away.
Funny.
He's like, "Fuck."
Very
get
funny.
booed by somebody in like the EU or whatever, or European Parliament at one point as well. Somebody fucking heckled him when he went there.
Yeah, I think she's German. She's like
That's what I thought.
She's
German,
trying to fight stuff. I like that chick. I can't remember her name. She's really pushing.
Angela, no, she retired, didn't she? Angela.
She's really pushing against this authoritarianism shit.
Markle.
Yeah, and she was like, you cannot be in our, like, essentially here. He's like, spare us your presence, essentially, is what she said, because of his is essentially what he did to people's human rights. And then and then fucking half the people walked away. Like half the UN or whatever was sitting, or the conference that he was at, they half of them walked out. So I was like,
it'll be interesting to see what happens to him after he
he's
power.
like sitting on Klaus Schwab's knee. He's like,
exactly.
Klaus Schwab's feeding him fucking crackers.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Well, I've told the bull that a lot of these people supposedly running the world, they have limited time left. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Or do they?
They do. We're not yet there.
We're
We're
gonna go in
almost
their
there.
bunkers. We're gonna all be nuked, and they're gonna go in their
maybe.
bunkers and come out, and the reptilians will eat them all.
Longevity, escape velocity.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know if we're there quite yet. But it'll be interesting.
Man, this is a crazy fucking episode, man.
I liked it.
I got stoned, and I was like, man, this got really sad. Like, all of a sudden, it's like sad.
Yeah.
It's like such a sad topic.
Well, I think the best thing to say to the viewers and listeners is like, look, if you're going through a shit time on Christmas,
don't kill your
Don't kill anybody.
Please talk to somebody. Please find
for
and
sure.
if you don't have someone, here you go. If you don't have someone to talk to, you can reach out to the Wolf and Bull. TheWolfandBull@gmail.com. I will personally respond. I'll personally respond to your email. Now, just don't send me spam shit. I might not respond to that.
You get like 70 emails, and people be like, I need help.
If you want to talk, I'll listen to you via email, and I'll talk with you.
If you want, you can come to Canada, and we have assisted suicide for people who have mental health. So that's great.
That's an option too. That is an option.
It's fucked up, man.
Oregon.
My country's
Kill
going to
yourself
fucking
before
hell.
you kill others.
Oh god,
so crazy, man. It's like, what happened to my country? We used to be like cool, nice people, and then we're pushing the most like craziest stuff on people. Like, good job.
The unfortunate thing about that is I don't know. I think an episode on that would be a really interesting.
We should talk about it. A free for all. No, like, yeah, that shit's deep too.
It's because I just feel like it's just it's a thin ethical line.
Oh, it is.
Because I get the argument.
You want to know an interesting thing? My mom has never been on the show. She keeps saying she wants to, and I'm like, that's a Patreon episode because she's also a Scorpio, and we butt heads my entire life.
You're a Scorpio too?
Yeah, so we've
Aries over here.
So he's a Scorpio too.
Yeah, we all are.
Scorpios.
We butt heads like crazy on certain things. And she's like, let's do the nurses that like you. That'd be fun. The nurses that kill people, because my mom's a nurse and my grandma was a nurse. Yeah. And she's like, that'd be an interesting episode. And I was like, and then she's like, then we can get to talk about assisted suicide, and it got into a bad conversation.
She doesn't want to do that for a confessional, does she?
No, I hope
Jesus
not.
Christ.
That'd be
my mom's in the medical. Well,
your mom's
Tomcat. You know this. My mom's in the medical field.
Oh
too.
yeah. We've had that.
Like,
That's my mom. She taught nursing.
Well, I guess like it's just such a hard discussion to have, right? Because it's like,
can you imagine my mom and your mom?
There's a big debate.
Oh my!
I know. It's a huge debate too. It's fucking crazy because my mom's like an occupational health nurse now and stuff like that. But like I was like, I share different views just because it's hot right now. It's on like it's because of what's going on and how they're like suggesting it for people are signing up for it that have no other options. That like they run out of their government benefit and stuff like that for disabilities and stuff like that. They're not paying them enough where they can live, which is like crazy because we send all this money to fucking Ukraine for a proxy war and all the shit that they're doing, and much other money that was spent on the pandemic for an instant of the vaccines that got wasted, all the stuff that's happened. And it's just like, but you can't help veterans in Canada or the fucking disabled. The guy signed up because he has no money left. He's like, I can't live.
We have the same problem down here. I mean, it's the unfortunate reality to a lot of this nonsense, and obviously we could have a whole conversation about we could have a whole conversation about medicine if we wanted to, but the reality is a lot of this is an out of sight, out of mind type scenario. I think the populace looks at these situations like assisted suicide, and what they do is they consider the exact minority of individuals who are like, fuck yeah, I want to do that. And they don't consider the alternative of people who feel as if they don't have a problem. They don't have another option.
Yeah.
And for anyone listening, you have another option.
100%.
There
100%.
are options. And I think that ties all the way back to what I said earlier. People watching and the people who even did this shit on this paper, as much as I hate to say this about some of these individuals.
I thought it was funny that you
they're humans
brought
and they're
paper.
still valuable.
I thought that was funny that you brought paper.
We're
like you're
old fashioned here.
A 90s news guy.
Yeah, we're old fashioned here. We're old fashioned. We appreciate the trees here. But I think it comes down to people understanding that they are valuable.
No, 100%. I don't think people get told that often. And like my whole thing, right, has always been, especially recently, is like, because I'm a hippie or some shit now, but like love and light. Everyone just love each other. Like fucking, people do crazy stuff and bad things, but you can heal from traumas and stuff that you've experienced in your life. You can do like not even just with fucking stupid psilocybin, but with meditation or like there's tons of different options, thousands literally. You know what I mean?
Just talking, just opening up. That's all it is. And I get that's hard, and I'm not saying that it's easy. It's just
there's always options.
There's always options. It's just unfortunate to hear shit about this stuff because it's like, dude, like way to fucking shit on Christmas.
I know it is crazy. Yeah.
Okay, what are you celebrating this year? Oh, the death of my neighbor. Like, I guess it's just
see when we've talked about a lot of true crime, it's always like talking about how crazy it is that these people do these type of things and like what it would be like in everyday life. Like you walk in, like especially the stuff like eventually we're gonna dive into with Billy because Billy does not know a thing about Edmund Kemper, and I can't wait to tell him about what he does to his mother because his reactions are gold because he just like is like what? Because you don't understand how people can be driven to this level of like, all right, I got a flamethrower. Okay, I think I know how this works, and this is like go in and start burning
it's pretty wild
fucking building down, like so nuts, man.
Dressed in a Santa costume.
Yeah, man, that's got to be a horror movie too. And now it is funny because now we have all these preparations to do a bunch of horror content for Christmas, so it's gonna be fun but sad, scary.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was good. I thought we had some good conversation.
Yeah, I thought this was fun.
I think it was really good.
Definitely
some
dark,
sad scenarios, but
a little bit of coal in the stocking.
Yeah,
every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, man, we do this so often. There are certain cases like this one where it is Christmas, and it's just like Billy, the other co-host, loves Christmas. Me and Anton are like, like I like Halloween, like kind of shit. Like that's my thing.
I love both,
but like, yeah.
Which, by the way, on a side note, questions to ask. I've been asking everybody I know about this. Did you guys have Christmas like trick or treaters show up?
Yeah. I dressed up like an evil clown, man, and I scared a lot of people.
We didn't have anybody.
Well, I dressed up like a suburban husband. Because I didn't dress up at all, and it literally we bought like 5 or 6 bags of candy.
It's funny because if
maybe 5 kids,
if my fiance heard me, she'd be like, "You secretly love Christmas." Because there's a part of me, even like for the specials and stuff like that, especially with the podcast, we always go pretty big on like a topic and then like so it always I kind of like it. I'm growing to like it if it's about monsters and stuff like stuff that I actually like.
That's fair. I mean, I just like it because people are normally in a relatively good mood.
Are they wearing a mask though? Like this, like ha ha ha, like fucking I'm happy, but I'm truly sad because I just spent thousands of dollars on my credit card.
Hey, isn't that the best Christmas gift ever? Is having that credit card receipt following in January.
Man, I'm always like, people don't have to give me anything, and then I don't have to get them anything. It's just like then everyone's equal.
It was the best Christmas ever.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Let's just hang out.
That's why February sucks so much because you're like, I've been paying this off for a month. Fuck.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So obviously you know where to find us, www.strangebrewpodcast.com, and the Instagram. You can find us everywhere at strangebrewpodcast.com. And you guys shed all your stuff and yes.
Yeah, if you so
my bullets kept falling out this entire time.
Microphone.
Oh, microphone, yeah. Bull and I talk about anything to do with American culture. Obviously we touch on a lot of subjects. Not so much in the crime aspect of things, but it's fun to talk about anyway. Maybe we'll have a few future episodes. Yeah, but if you want to find our content, you can find us
maybe something
on
a little
Instagram.
lighter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're a little bit. We're not as dark all the time. We definitely have a rant though. If you want to find us, you can find us on Instagram, the Wolf and Bull. You can also find us on YouTube, the Wolf and Bull Podcast, and on Rumble, the Wolf and Bull Podcast. We normally have episodes auditorially showing up on every major listening platform on Thursdays, and then our videos come out on Fridays. So normally, sometimes due to holidays, they come out on Tuesdays, like today. But that is just how it goes. So yeah, we have new content.
I like how in depth you get. I'm always like, just find us, fuckers.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, you will find us. You'll find us. But yeah, no. To our listeners, viewers, make sure to find Strange Brew Podcast.
Find Wolf and Bull. You guys definitely. I like your guys' dynamic. I've watched a lot of your clips. I've tuned into a couple of episodes, and I do like. Because you guys all are, and you guys very good into contextual political like conversations. Which if me and Billy do that, we like scream at each other. When we did Bohemian Grove, me and Billy yelled at each other for like 15 minutes, and then and I was like, "Why are we yelling at each other?" And he's like, "I don't know." He's like, "You didn't get my point." I was like, "You didn't get my point." And it was like, I had to edit it all out because it was like fucking bad.
Well, I see the bull, the yin to my yang.
Yeah,
that's what I see it as. So I'll be hot headed, and he'll come in with his very cool, calming logical waters, very radio voice. You know,
go to sleep.
Great. It's a good time. Yeah, exactly.
I'll monotone you right out.
You should do like a little like sleepy time
No, you should do like
I should do
for children.
Late night jazz. You know those guys late night jazz they're really sexual with the microphones.
And next. Some Kenny G is going to come. Careless Whisper.
All right. That was fucking awesome. All right. Stay strange, fuckers.